What's going on, everybody? Huh? 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 What's going on? How's everybody doing? What's going on, stream?
I'm seeing hypes in chat. Hype,
There's
hype,
a whole
hype.
lot of hype. I wonder why. It's not like there's someone sitting here in between us on this stream. We got Jay here.
See you.
Can Jay hear us? I don't think Jay can hear us. What happened to Jay? What'd you do to him?
I didn't do anything.
Does he know he can't hear us?
I don't know. This is what sound checks are for.
Jay. Talk to me, Jay. Hey, Coco, what's going on? Wise Buddha. Hey, welcome, everybody.
I've been talking to him for about 5 minutes and didn't get much response. So that's probably why. Wonder if he has... Jay, can you hear us? If you can hear us, wave your hands.
I am not hearing anything.
Uh-oh.
Okay.
There he goes. There he's figuring out. Hey, Hellfire, what's going on? Art, good to see you. Who else we got? Arametheus. What is going on? Who else we got here? Oh, look, beautiful Jay's in chat. Rykoth, good to see you. Meridian. The Von Jamesteins are here. What's
I
going
have on
everybody?
JJ's.
Nick, what's going on?
So let's make sure that he's not muted up in Discord.
Oh, he's definitely not.
Okay.
I got him loud and clear. Hey, Chivas, what's going on?
Hey, Chivas. All right. Well, we'll give him a minute to try and figure it out. If not,
No
All
worries.
right, can you guys hear me now?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yay!
Yeah, all right. All right.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Oh, you're fine, man. Oh, Chad is here. Chad is stoked. Look at all these people here. Turbo, hey, what's going on? Bendari, good to see you. Did you you put it out in Discord, didn't you, Cash?
well, of course.
Yeah. Sweet. I'm gonna pour me a drink, gentlemen.
We put it out in Discord and in game.
Oh, that's my favorite. Listen. Oh.
Oh, would you? Is that you taking your finger out of your butthole? Oh, we're not live yet, so we're fine.
Yeah. Did we? Jay, can you still hear us? Nope, we lost Jay. I think he's having video issues.
All right.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah. For whatever reason, when I have the actual Twitch stream running, it's like interfering with everything else.
Really?
So
That's odd.
yeah, I don't know. I can see the chat. I just can't see the video, so that's fine.
Huh. Okay.
Yeah.
But
No
Yep.
worries.
your
as
your
long
video was flickering a few seconds ago. I don't know if that was.
Yeah, it was.
I think that's what. Whenever that happens, is when we lose your audio.
Oh, weird. Well, I'm not going to touch anything for the rest of the night.
As long as we have that sultry voice, that's what we need.
Yeah. Let's talk about quests.
Good gracious. All right. Well, everybody, welcome here to the stream. If this is your first time hanging out here, first off, welcome to. This is a podcast. We do it live every week, and this week we have guest appearing with us, Jay. You know him as Jason Barnes, ESO Zone lead, and lead on Dragonhold. So yeah, we got a jam-packed show. Are you guys ready?
I'm ready. Are we? Do you want to sound check one more time, or are you comfy with just rolling?
Yeah. Let's go ahead. Sound check. Talk to me, Jay. Let me hear you.
All right. Can you hear me okay? Testing.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Cash.
Hi. Testes. Stole that.
One more time.
Test.
Yep.
Make your testes louder.
I like having whiskey in the willow. How's that?
Reminds me of that scene with Cool Whip from Family Guy.
Cool whip with my whiskey
What
willow.
Or say with an H. Oh my gosh. All right, everybody. Well, we're going to go ahead and get started here. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of all ages. I am recording. Yeah. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. This is Loreseekers Live. Last week on Loreseekers. Figure out the sets that complement your class. It's always going to be a puzzle. So I would rather you, Cash, and every listener who is listening, and our entire community, everyone over the ESO fam hashtag, play what you love and spend the time, take the time to figure out what makes that work, because that is what's going to keep you enjoying the game. That's what's going to keep you logging in every day. It's more than patch notes. It's more than your Twitter notifications. Oh, man, they like this screenshot of me. No. Let's focus in on the microscope here, and that is, what is it that you like?
Greetings, travelers. Welcome to the Loreseekers podcast. Grab an ale and join our two adventurers as they share their tales of misadventure in the land of Tamriel. Here they are at their usual table, Jibs and Cash.
Oh, my gosh.
And Jay.
Oh, and Jay. And Jay. We should have edited that around. Oh,
It
gosh.
just had someone. NJ!
Oh, my gosh. Oh, look, here she comes.
What can I get you boys?
You know what? I feel like Jay needs to take the lead here. Jay,
Oh.
what's your drink?
So I'm a man that needs a good caffeinated beverage every now and then. So I'm going to go with a spiced essential latte with a shot of 2% moon sugar whiskey.
Oh my gosh, that is
Oh.
a Starbucks
Yeah.
order.
Yeah.
I'm sophisticated.
You are
When
sophisticated.
lean-
You're a high elf, aren't you?
No, that's too much.
No. Oh, Cash, what about you? What are you drinking, sweetheart,
I'm gonna
dearest?
have a very fine Colovian brandy,
Oh my
please.
gosh, you're disgusting. You know what? I like what Jay's going with, so let's just go with 2. Okay.
Coming right up.
That's not what you told me earlier. I thought you were going to get your half calf, double decaf with a twist of lemon.
With a twist of lemon.
Ooh, light foam.
Not a
freaking freaking drink.
Not
with
really a
little umbrella.
lemon guy, but you know, to each their own. So, yeah, Jay, we caught you on the street here, heading in the tavern. We thought, you know what, we'll just bring you in here. And quite frankly, we wanted to have you here for a long time. So, welcome, my friend.
Thank you. I'm super stoked to be here. This is super exciting. I saw the guys earlier. This is my first podcast I ever got to do. So I'm
bursting his podcast bubble.
Say cherry.
That's awesome. So, how you guys doing? You know, we always, Jay, at the beginning of every episode, we always start off with you. How your week's been, what you've been up to. Has it been busy for you? I imagine it's been busy.
Yeah. Every week's a busy week. Can't talk about what I'm doing, but it's exciting. And yeah, just keeping things moving along, making some cool stuff.
Sweet.
And that's all I can say. That and watching everything going on right now, just seeing how everyone's reacting to Dragonhold, and just hoping everyone's enjoying it. So it's a very exciting week.
Awesome. It's been
Yeah.
exciting here on the forefront.
So I squee a little bit because I'm really paying close attention to the things he's saying. He just said that what he's working on, he can't talk about, which means something's coming.
You didn't waste any time, did you, Jay? You guys just jump right into it, don't you?
Always working on something. Oh, Rich is in chat, so I gotta watch what I say. No,
Oh, the boss man's here.
there's nothing in this drink. Rich.
By the way, we
It's just
have-
coffee. It's just coffee.
We have a new nickname. We have a new nickname for Rich, and it's Ritz Lambert. We're now going to call you Ritz Lambert.
What was the story on that again?
There's really no story other than I do Ritz every day, and so do a lot of people that play the game. And I thought it'd be really fun to call him Ritz Lambert. So that's
Oh, okay.
what it is.
All right.
Okay.
So how's your
All right.
week been? It looked like your arm's a little swollen. Did you get a little work done? Did you get an arm
Yeah,
lift?
my arm is very swollen. Which makes it very interesting that Rich is in chat because I have a new piece of ink, as you can see here on my arm, and I'll post pictures of it so you guys can see it better. But I've had about 16 hours in the chair, and I now have my Dark Templar on my arm. Yeah,
Good
finished off
Lord.
on my sleeve. So
It looks
super stoked.
awesome.
That's
yeah,
awesome, man.
yeah.
That's awesome.
Uh-huh.
Well, my week has not been that eventful compared to you both, but I'm stoked to be here. I've been taking full advantage of Witches Fest. Excuse me, that was a whiskey burp.
Yeah, did you almost die?
Did you hear that? What was that?
Yeah, I did.
Oh gosh, it's right in my throat. Jay, are you leveling anything right now? What are you doing?
So I main a Stamplar. And yeah. Haven't had a chance to log in this week just because work's been busy, but I'm actually trying to get back in so I can play through my content and do the Witches Fest stuff. So yeah, but yeah, I made a Stamplar. I just rolled up a Necro not too long ago. Start messing with that, but
Yeah.
Paladins and Templars that's my true love, man. So
Really? All right.
I always go back to it. Yeah.
So you're a holy man in the games, huh?
Uh,
Holy classes? Would you regard
Holy
like the
class-
Templar as a holy
yeah.
class? You know, like there's a whole lore behind them and all that.
I don't know if I'd say holy. I mean, I guess they use magic it's sun-based magic, so it's more almost like its own elemental type, I guess. you
True.
could say.
Okay. There you go. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Right on.
I like that. He's going right along the lines of my Dark Templar.
Cash, how's that warden going that you dedicated yourself to?
Dude, really good. He's actually really, really good. I played him for the better part of the week, going through a vast majority of the Witches Festival stuff. And I've run trials with him, bet dungeons with him, and he's putting out some good freaking DPS right now. So I'm super stoked on him. But our friend Zynode just released his update to his off-balance Templar. So I'm definitely going to be... How long is this show going to be? Definitely going to be diving into that this evening to take a little look and see the changes that he's made, the updates that he's made on that off-balance Templar. Because I want to see where his deeps is at and how comfortable I feel. Because as much as I like the Magicka Warden, there's a comfort level with my Templar. So...
Why is that?
But Wardens, I'm telling you, you got to work for it a little bit, but the DPS is there now. It's really freaking nice.
Well, that's fun. I've been chugging along on that Sork. Still chugging along. I think I'm around 32, 33. I gotta tell you what, man, midday, the past 2 days, getting into a battleground on low B PvP is like trying to find a needle in a haystack, man. So I finally got in one. And mind you, this guy is not at all for PvP, which is my bread and butter anyway, normally. But anyway, you get in there and you're like leveling your tunes, picking certain skills because you want certain things for your end game, and you're just getting raffle stomped. Like, I'm looking for hard carries right now. I'm looking for hard carries. I will pay with Monopoly money for hard carries. But anyway, well, welcome everybody. Let's get started here. This is the Loreseekers podcast where we talk the Elder Scrolls Online, and we are your hosts plus one tonight. This is, what did I say, Volume 5, Episode 14. I'm Jibs. Welcome to the show. Joined by Cash.
Hi.
Yeah, you're
Cash.
a dick. The more important one tonight, Jay's in the house. ESO Zone lead and lead on Dragonhold. What's going on, buddy? Did we lose him? Did we lose him again? Oh no!
Did I drop out again?
Oh no!
Got you.
We lost him. We lost him.
Hold on.
We need a Templar. Can we get a breath of life, please? We need one breath of life. Breath of life, breath of life, breath of life. Oh. Anyway.
We'll give him a sec.
Lambert says I blame his crappy headset.
Water scamps, dag nabbit, says Mrs. Vaughn JJ, and she's right.
Oh.
Yep.
Right on. Okay.
Yeah, Aramithius is here. What's up, buddy?
Yeah, he
Nice
is
to
here.
have you
By the
here.
way, to everyone listening, we are streaming live on Twitch, and so our episode may sound a little bit different tonight. We're going to be pulling all the audio from the stream. Are you back? We got you? No? Yeah,
You
no?
can hear him
All
fighting
right,
the
I'm back.
scamps.
You're back.
Yeah!
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, welcome back. So anyway, Jay, it's good to have you here, man. We're stoked to finally get you here with us. It has been... We've wanted you on this show since January. And when we were in San Fran, your wife, wonderful wife, you have such a wonderful family. Love your family. She's like, just hold
Very
off.
much.
Just hold off. You don't want them yet. Trust me. Just hold off. So we held off. And now we
Yeah,
see why with Dragonhold.
Yeah, she was certainly specific in what she said as well. And I think the reason that we want, because early on in our show, we struck up a friendship with you on Twitter, and which we so appreciate. It's like, at that point when our show is brand new, we're just like grasping at anything. And then like you were just there and just gracious and friendly, and saying that you're listening to our show. We're like, what? So we were so stoked on that, and then we had the opportunity to meet your wife in person. And for those of you that don't know, Jay's wife is Jess Folsom, who's the senior community manager.
Yep.
For ESO, and super wonderful woman. I know Jibs just mentioned it, how awesome your family is, and we've just through Twitter and through the game have kind of gotten to know you guys a little bit. And she was saying, just like Jibs was saying, she said he's working on something that you guys will want to wait to have him on for. So later in the year. Well, here we are later in the year.
It's much later in the year.
And we're like, let's do this. This is what we do.
It's time.
Here we are.
Yeah, I'm super stoked to be here, like I said. And I want to thank you guys for just what you guys do, the amount of work and effort you put into the show. Like, so many of the devs listen to this show, and just you guys do an amazing job. You're always super positive, and just we appreciate everything that you guys do, and I mean that sincerely. I'm not kissing your butts just because I'm on the show now.
No, please go on. Please go on.
Yeah, no, but no, it's just the amount of work you guys put into this, and just it's so well done. So just thank you very much for everything that you guys do,
Man.
and we the dev team appreciate it. So
Thank you. That means a lot. We really appreciate that. Thank you.
That does mean a lot from the bottom of our hearts, because Jibs and I put in a lot of effort into the show. I think a lot of times it's effortless because we love what we're doing, and we love to support what Zos is doing, even through like the hard times, which honestly there hasn't really been very many hard times. Somebody might like whine or complain about something here or there. Jibs and I just choose to take the more positive spin on it, and we've also chosen to absorb when people are, you guys are fanboys. Like, seriously, like, shut up. We really don't care what you think anyway. But that's just kind of the stance that we chose to take, because I think we have grasped the fact that you guys have families. You love this game just as much as we do, because it's not only something that these devs play and invest in, it's their livelihood. So we're trying to understand that, which is why I think we choose to take a more positive spin on some of the things that are less popular that are happening out there. It's like, just shut up and roll with it, people.
Well, we appreciate it. You guys, just like I said, you do a kick-ass job. Can say ass, right?
Yeah. Yeah, you have the floor.
Right.
You know what? We've waited so long. You can say whatever you want. Cash has some bleeps ready. We're good.
We're good.
You're fine.
Oh,
Cool,
man.
cool.
Well, anyway, thank you so much for hanging out with us. For everyone who's listening, Jay has chosen to stay the entire episode. So this should be fun. We're going to interview Jay later, but I'm sure whatever happens along the way is going to be fun, too. So I'm looking forward to this. But anyway, if you listened to last week's episode, we talked the Witches Festival, and we took your first impressions of Dragonhold, highlighted Dragonhold patch notes, and buddy, was that a discussion, that's for sure. And then we got a lore lesson tonight. Oh, why do you do this to me? You always post this stuff at the last second, so I don't know what we're doing.
Mm-hmm.
You want to tell them what we're doing?
It's still Halloween-y.
It is.
So we got to talk Halloween-y stuff.
Yeah, well, tell them.
We're doing a lore lesson tonight on the first vampire. And if you don't know who that person is, I'm going to put a little disclaimer before we start it, because it gets a little effing dark. So there's that.
A little bit.
Just a little.
A little. Just
There might be some triggers in there that we don't want to
Yeah.
jack anybody up on. So.
Yeah, just FYI, it gets gnarly. So there's that. This week on the show, we're answering your fan mail. You know what? Jay's going to jump in on fan mail, too, this week. This should be fun.
I will. Yeah.
There you go.
Excited.
Completing a lore lesson. Wait, no. You wrote the
It's no problem if you type it twice, because everybody knows Ron Burgundy will write anything on the effing teleprompter. Solid work.
Damn it, you wrote the wrong thing. Later we're doing. I literally will. It's sad. It's really sad.
Go F yourself, Tamriel.
All right. Well, before we get started, this week is a very special week to Cash and I. This comes around once a year. We are big supporters, and we've done this for years. We love to help raise money with Extra Life. Cash, when's that happening?
Extra Life is happening this Saturday, November the 2nd. So if you're downloading the show on Friday, take a freaking nap right now and then turn the stream on at 9 a.m. PST, 12 p.m. EST to watch Jibs and I try and stay awake for 18 hours, 24 hours, 16 hours.
I love we're doing this, but
8 hours.
I hate. Yeah, let's try. Can we go like an 8.5?
Yeah. And yeah, I'm going to be coming straight off of 48 hours of work. So this will be super fun. And I'm really excited. But anyway, we're playing ESO exclusively all day. We have giveaways in 2-hour blocks. We're going to be running dungeons, dolmens, public dungeons. We got trials in the evening, battleground. We're doing pretty much everything, and going to be doing a metric crap ton of Witches Festival stuff, especially now that it's extended. Thank you very much.
Oh yeah. You want to talk about that now, or should you want to do fan mail now?
Go. Well, it's just a really quick announcement, but I don't have the.
I don't
What do you
either.
do?
Oh wait, no, I got it right here. Let me just read this real quick. So this was recently released today. Jay, I don't know if you can comment on this or not. I didn't even ask you. This just kind of happened. So anyway, there's been some server issues going on. Just a lot of things happening behind the scenes, and they put out this update today. It's weird when I say they, when I know you're sitting right here, Jay. But anyway,
He is.
What do you mean they?
So here's the quote. Thanks again for your patience during the last few days. We know the frequent instability and downtime was extremely aggravating, and as we mentioned before, we were just as frustrated as you. Now, after a number of fixes, our database clusters are no longer becoming overloaded, and the activity finder appears to be working as it should.
Scamps.
That said, we know there are still some remaining issues queuing for Battlegrounds and are actively working on getting these fixed. I'm glad that was addressed, because I honestly wondered if that was a problem that was happening. So that's good to see. Due to the recent instability of the servers, we've decided to extend the Witches Festival by 1 week on all platforms, so everyone can still.
Yes. My dream has come true.
We love the Witches Fest, Jay. That's like our jam.
I get it. I'm a big fan of Halloween, so
Yeah? Oh, that's awesome.
I get it.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
get
yeah.
it.
Absolutely. So this means the event will now end on November 11th at 10 a.m. EST. All aspects of the in-game event will be available, including double XP, event tickets, plunder skulls, and collectibles. It's also worth mentioning, we were able to implement all the current hotfixes to the console build currently in certification. So, the issues seen from the past weeks shouldn't occur once Update 24 launches on Xbox One and PS4 next week. That's awesome. Thanks
They
again.
got all the scamps.
That's right. Thanks again for sticking with us while we worked everything out, and enjoy the extended event. Well done, team. Well done.
I can't speak to it formally because it's not really my department, but
Absolutely.
I will say definitely a big thank you to just the men and women who have been working around the clock to get that working. I know something they took very seriously, and there's a lot of people working a lot of hours to make sure that they could get things up and running and fixed for people. So mucho respect to everyone on the team that was working through that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I'm glad that you said that, because that was over a weekend.
Yeah.
And that was something that Jibs and I had talked about when when all that stuff was happening. I think it was Friday night or Saturday night. I was playing and we were just, dungeon after dungeon doing we were having a blast, and then all of a sudden it just everything slowed down, and I was watching that Ouroboros logo just go like that for 10 minutes, and I'm going, what in the hell is happening? So I ended up, we just kind of muddled through it. I ended up just logging out. So I was like, they're just having major problems. Over the next 24 hours, there was a hot fix, and everything for the most part, once they took down the group finder, once that was down, everything seemed to be working fine, but it was over the weekend. So Jibs and I had talked and you know what? These folks are working during their family time. And that kind of hit us because we're like, we know exactly how that feels. That sucks. So anyway,
Yep.
it is much appreciated, those fixes that went out and everything, to at least make everything playable. And we certainly understand what happens when you put out a large patch like this game.
And see, it's instances like this where I'm glad it comes out on PC first, because then I feel like it's easier to address. You don't have the certifications you have to wait through. It's times like, because then look, console's going to get a good release. Console's not going to have this problem, So that's good. So anyway,
we're excited.
Oh yeah, heck yeah! I bet you are. I bet you're just as excited now as you were with PC. You got a whole nother platform.
It's a whole new wave of people. It's a
Yeah.
whole new wave of folks coming in and get to experience everything the first time. So
Yeah. It's a whole new wave of interactions on your Twitter feed.
Lots of retweets ready to go.
Lots of retweets. Yep, there you go, man. Oh my gosh, he's back.
I've been looking for you. Got something I'm supposed to deliver. Your hands only.
I just want to give you a hug. What? Why do you always reject me?
Dude.
What? I don't know.
Did you see the way he looked at you?
I know. He kind of had, like, he motioned like he had a dagger in his waist area. Like he's packing heat.
He was packing heat. I think he's into you. I think he's really into you.
I'm gonna drink another sip of this whiskey.
Maybe that's his problem.
Oh my gosh. Anyway, it's that time for the mailbag segment. You write to us and we answer it live here on the show. And tonight, for those of you who wrote in, well, kudos to you because Jay's here. And if Jay's going to talk about anything, he's going to help answer as well. So here we go. First one's up is from Shane. We got an email here. Chat's reacting to you, Cash. Greetings, friend. So I have to say the dragons flying around Tamriel are giving me an itch that needs to be scratched.
Ooh.
I cannot wait to get the chance to chase them down and battle them. I'd like to see dragons becoming something like dolmens. Agree or disagree? Or possibly make like events out of it, special dragons with a story behind each one. I'd love to hear your opinion. Now, granted, Jay, before you say anything tonight, I know that this was not at all what we sent to you. I do not expect you to answer any of this. You can say no comment as much as you want. What?
Pump the brakes.
Oh, he's pushing. Look at him. He's gonna.
Oh.
He's gonna.
I want him to give us every
give us a little taste of the glory.
Hi, this is the Loreseekers podcast with exclusive footage from Jay.
This is like Groundhog Day. I'm listening. All right. So anyway, dragons as dolmen. Cash, yes or no?
Well, first of all, Shane, thank you very much for the email. I actually already believe that dragons are kind of like dolmens in elsewhere.
Yeah.
Right?
That'd be
like
fair.
when a dragon's up,
Yeah.
everybody's shouting it out. Blah, blah,
Yeah,
blah.
it's a
There's
world
groups.
event.
Yeah, it's a world event. So now, would I like to see them in the rest of Tamriel? Yes, but not as much as in elsewhere. Because right now with the current storyline, it makes sense that there's a ton of dragons in elsewhere. So to see the dragons that are flying over in other areas and everything, that's cool. Maybe every once in a while, it would be awesome. And here's where I kind of segue into possibly make events out of it or a story behind each one. I would love to see.
Oh, here we go.
I've said it before. Jibs is like, oh my God, here we go again.
It's actually a good idea. So please continue.
Okay. I am going to say I would absolutely love to see like true takes 1 million players to kill them world boss.
1 million players.
1 million players. No, but like, yeah, I mean, remember the old 40-man raids in that other game?
That other one?
Right. The
Yeah,
game
yeah,
looks like peepees. So that would be awesome to see, because now it's like you get maybe, I don't know, you get 10 solid players, something aroundish there, they can take down a dragon no problem. Even though the newer dragons are freaking, the
They
mechanics
got
are
buffed.
awesome.
Yeah. Oh,
I
man.
take so many more one-shots now,
Oh, yeah.
which is hilarious. But I would really love to see a true world boss event where when this thing lands, I don't even care if it's a dragon or not. If it's It could be anything. It could be a freaking Slode on the southern coast. It could, be anything.
Yeah.
It
Stuga.
could be a Kraken
Yes.
in the middle of
Can
the
we-
ocean. Which
Can we get that for April Fools?
Just Stuga shows up and she's indestructible.
Stuga just flies down. Have her replace the dragons for a day, and she's the boss you fight.
Yeah,
Ugh.
Jay, she's already indestructible because we've tried.
We've tried numerous times to kill her.
So here's a kind of a funny thing that we're gonna follow up on a little bit later. It could be a Kraken in the middle of the freaking ocean that shows up every once in a while. Don't worry, Jay, we'll get to the sea content. Anyway, once these things hit, and it might be once a day in the entire realm of Tamriel, it might be twice a week. True world bosses that when they show up, it isn't an event. And that would be with a story behind the boss and why they're there. And it takes a crap ton of players to coordinate and bring it down. That would be the ultimate, pun intended, the ultimate.
The ultimate.
I'm purposely not going to
Okay.
follow this up. I want to see what Jay does with Christian chat.
I'm noting this. This is
Oh, okay.
good info. Like
All
this
right.
is it's a good,
Let's
it's
watch
not-
what he does.
I have
It's not a bad idea.
Oh, all right, there you go. Boom.
Yeah, I like it. I like when a ton of people, all have to band together to bring down a giant foe. So I get it. I can appreciate that.
Yeah, to kind of go off what Cash said in regards to dolmens, I guess my take on it would be, first off, I don't want to, Cash, everything you just said was more than enough, and I could stop there because I love that idea. I love the fact of bringing back that old, classic MMO, massive boss. We need summon all the help,
Yes.
send all the couriers out to get help, all that. I love that idea. That being said, I think I like the way dragons are done now, simply because it feels a little more randomized to an extent. So, with dolmens, you're constantly making that loop. You go out to Alakir, what are you doing? You're making the loop, right? Whereas, with Elsewhere, it feels, we know where they're going to spawn, but it feels like it's a little more dynamic, in a sense, if that makes sense. And so it's just, I think if it was a stable loop where you're just looping dragons, it totally lessen the feel to me of just the randomness and the awe that the dragons put off. Because anytime you run up to these dragons, I'll never forget, Cash, you were there. I remember when Cash heard his first Fusro Da from one of the dragons, and on top of that, we run up to
I
it
had a
because
kitten.
we're like,
I literally had a kitten
we're gonna
out
check
of
this
my
thing out.
Mandana.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what happened.
We walked up to it, and then I'll never forget, just this massive dragon's head just turns and stares at you, and just these eyes, there's just something about that, that mystique and that power that they put off. I would hate for that to get lost in a dolmen loop. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you're just doing it over and over. It just becomes mundane after a while. So
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah.
One of my favorite things, we did media playthroughs not too long ago when we were previewing Dragonhold, and we would bring these poor people interviewing us and asking us questions, and I was like, "There's something I want to show you," and I'd bring them up and I'd be like, "Just stand here," and a dragon would land, and they're like, "What's happening?" Just kill them instantly, and I was like, "And that's our dragons." And they're like, "That was amazing," and I was like, "Yeah."
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. Shock
I
and
think
awe.
the first time I went into Sunspire and I watched the tank, because on that first boss, the tank can kind of run around the edge and go to where his position's going to be, on the left side of the dragon. So I watched that whole thing happen, and that dragon just watched him, and his head went like this, and watched him walk all the way across, and I just went, crap. And
Oh,
then
yeah.
you're sitting there strategizing with all the rest of the knuckleheads, right on the edge, and you're talking about what the tank's going to do this, and then the healers are going to stand here.
We have a 2% chance this time.
Yeah, there's an ice prison.
More dots. More
More
dots.
more dots.
You're doing all this stuff, talking, and the dragon just goes, boring. Freaking getting tired of you people. That is amazing. We need more of that. That's all I'm saying.
I'm happy. I mean, we made a lot of improvements just from northern elsewhere to southern elsewhere with just the dragons. Just the fact that, we want them to move around. If you actually watch them, they'll when they land, they'll walk around and just light the shit out of everything in the area. And they'll take off and go. So that was something that the team really worked on. It's just how do we make these things feel more alive? And then the epic, heavy metal music cue when you start fighting in the sky lights on fire.
Oh yeah,
man. And stuff. It's my favorite thing ever. I'm just yeah, this is amazing. Dead. Cool.
See, I love that you've added more dynamics to them too. If they land and nobody attacks them, they pick right up and F you guys, I'm going someplace else. That's awesome. And they'll take off and go someplace else. And then you got to follow them to where they land again. I love that.
It's fun, especially if you're just walking around and all of a sudden you're someone was telling me earlier, they're I was doing this really emotional quest and there's this sad ending and I'm sitting there and all of a sudden I see a dragon fly over and Fusroda, and they were oh shit. And I was well, then they're doing their job. So that team did an awesome job.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, Shane, thank you so much. Next up, we got Sarah, and she asks or says, "Hello, Loreseekers. My name is Cece." Oh, she put this in parentheses. Pronounced CC for you, Jibs. Well, thank you, dear, very much.
Well needed. Well needed.
I'm a fairly
Thanks,
new.
Kiki.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, that's what I would have said. That's exactly what I would have said. I know you listen to the show when you say stuff like that. I'm a fairly new follower of your podcast, but I love everything you've done as far as breaking down the lore, patch notes, and making it all easy to understand. I just finished your most recent episode, Lord Holojack, and I had a question I wanted to ask about quests. Having had the game for 4 years now, I've chewed my way through every quest aside from some in DLC areas. The other day, I was going through Southern Elsewhere, and I found a quest that really tugged at my heartstrings and brought tears to my eyes at the end. My question is this: are there any quests that you've done that resonated with you? Really love your show. It helps me through long days at my job, and it helps me stay connected to the world of Elder Scrolls. Keep up the great work. Okay. Thank you, Sarah. I appreciate it, and thank you, Cece, as well.
Yes.
Jay, I want to start with you.
Me?
Are there any quests
that you've written
that you've written that resonate with you, that just stand out to you the most?
So I think there's two things that stand out to me, just thinking about them from the writing standpoint, and just kind of designing them. And they're both in Somerset, because I was heavily involved with Somerset. I did the main quest, for anyone who doesn't know, alongside another designer, Janet Priblo, and our lead writer, Bill Slavacek. All awesome people, do amazing work. But I think the two that stick out to me the most, it's not a particular quest, but more of the quest line, is we did, I don't know, should we do spoilers for Somerset, or we want to stay away from that?
Yeah, for sure. It's only been 10 years, so
I mean,
I just want to make sure.
Yeah, I feel like, if you don't want to hear spoilers, skip it at 2 minutes. Let's just do that. There you go.
So the first one is we did kind of a story, I guess, story arc or story segment with some of the characters that involved a Sigic Order member named Valsaren and her husband Lathan.
Yeah.
And one of the things that we really wanted to do was kind of deliver this, this dynamic, realistic approach to what would happen if this tragic thing happened to these two parents and how they would drift. And for anyone who doesn't know, and close your ears right now, they lose a child, and that causes them to go in very separate directions and kind of end up coming back at the end of it to kind of reconcile and talk about it.
Yeah.
When we were designing that was something that we had talked about, and one of the ideas I had thrown out. And you always try to kind of step into a character's headspace when you're doing quests and writing for them.
Right.
And I was a fairly new father at the time.
Oh man.
I think my daughter was 2 years old, so we were dealing with this really heavy kind of story. And you get wrapped up in it, and you kind of all of a sudden feel for these fictional characters. But yeah, that one, and just like the idea of them coming together and kind of forgiving each other at the end, and realizing that, hey, we're both in very different places because we lost our daughter,
Right.
but we have to do this together. That was one of my favorite things that I've gotten to do, because it's a very real thing, and just I hope we did it respectfully, and I'm very proud of it, though. So that one always gets me a little bit, just because I'm a dad.
Right.
And then the other one isn't a quest, but a book I got to write at the very end of Somerset. There is a book at the end of the story that shows up at the top of the palace. It's by my favorite character I've got to do. It's called Words of the Fallen. And that was a book I got to write with Bill, did the editing on it. And that was very much a goodbye to this character. And it was a goodbye to the players from that character. And you get in it, you put on some like Sarah McLachlan, and you like start listening to it, watch like Sad Animals and stuff, and you really get into it. And by the end of it, you're crying on board. No. But in a way, it was weird, because I was saying goodbye to a character I've worked on 10 years now.
Yeah.
And a character that I've always been very, very important to me. But it was saying goodbye in a way, and you step into that headspace, and his headspace is a lot like mine, because Darian, spoiler, is very much me in a lot of ways.
Right.
Maybe not that extreme, but yeah. So getting into that headspace and just writing that book, it was just like I was just one of the things I've been able to do. So very proud.
That's awesome.
We're going to ask you a little bit more about Darian coming up here.
All right.
Got a little something special for you at the end here.
Oh yeah. Someone's want to know about that. But Cash, what are you thinking, man?
So I actually have a couple.
I'm gonna prop my feet up. We're gonna be here a while.
Oh my God. Okay, I'm going to accentuate
Yeah.
my FU.
Okay.
To you.
Oh,
Jibs.
okay. Yeah.
All right, so there, FU.
Oh,
Anyway.
all right.
I'll make it quick, but there's a couple of quest lines that I really like. There's one in Rivenspire where, because of everything that's going on in Rivenspire, no spoilers, but it's only friggin' 5 or 6 years old. There is some incredibly terrible stuff going on in Rivenspire that is wiping out a lot of the towns. Anyway, there's a quest line. There's a quest called Dearly Departed. It's in one of the side quests that you can do, where an entire family is, for the most part, decimated. So in this particular quest, it's at the very end of this whole quest line where you're trying to help this family, but a lot of the people are being attacked and turned into vampires. Anyway, long story short, you have to help this family bury their deceased family members, and like kind of sit through the eulogies and stuff that they talk through. It's really freaking sad. Like, they lose their parents and the whole bit. It's like, oh, what did I do? And am I doing the right thing? I just don't know. So anyway, it's called The Dearly Departed. It's in Rivenspire. That one really got to me. Another one that I really like, and I can't remember the name of what this quest is, but I know that we covered this particular character in our Dragon Guard lesson when we talked about the ancient Dragon Guard. There's one of the you can find her in Cyrodiil. I think she's in the sewers. She is one of the last Dragon Guard characters. But she's very, very eccentric. And you can tell that quite possibly when you're talking to her that she may have some kind of a social anxiety. That one got to me, because it's like, you know what? The developers are putting in quests that are actually touching on things in our modern world, like social anxiety, which a lot of gamers have.
Yeah.
So that one just, boom, it really resonated with me. Went, these folks get it. I was super stoked on that. So I don't know if you have any insight to that quest or not. I wish I remembered that quest line, but that particular character was awesome.
It was the Drake of Blades.
Yes,
I believe it was her name. Yeah. That was, I don't remember the designer, but our lore master Lehman Tuttle was the writer on that. And I
God
know
bless
he
his
put a
heart.
little. Yeah, he's an awesome writer. Also did the Clockwork City main story. But he put a lot of care and detail into that character. He did a lot of research and talked to a lot of people about how to properly portray a character like that, and kind of
Wow.
how they talk and things like that. Like, we take that stuff very seriously. We want to make sure that when we're portraying a person that may have something like that, or talk a certain way, that we're doing it right and not doing any injustice. So that's something that's super important to us. So yeah, he'll love to hear that. So I'll pass that.
Yeah. Oh my God. So that's my whole point to this, and thank you for that insight on that, because that's what I'm talking about, friends. Like, that is what this development team is doing. You just have to find those parallels. If you can take your time, that's why I say don't spacebar through this crap. Don't do that.
And Rich called it out. Yeah,
Absorb
Draco
it.
Blades is Aspie, so she has Asperger's.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah,
Oh my God, I freaking love this game.
I love the
freaking
detail.
love this game.
Yeah, and you really,
Incredible.
for any new player, if they really take the time to quest, I feel like it's the personalities in these characters that just stand out to you and really grab a hold of you. And with Rich confirming that in chat too, Asperger's. I mean, it makes sense because you see it. You see it in these characters, and you see that these characters may be different than other characters, and why they stand out, why they're different, and they have these whole backstories. And I feel like, and compared to other MMOs, and I don't know, maybe it's because we do a show, or maybe it's because it really does connect with us. It's just that it just feels like it hits you that much more with these characters, and talking about the whole storyline, Jay, that you were referencing in Somerset. I remember doing that quest line, and I'll be honest, that sucker punched me right in the nuts. Oh my gosh, that
Wasn't aiming for the nuts, but I mean.
Oh man, you put me on my knees, dude. That's all I'm saying. That quest was rough. It was rough, and as a parent, absolutely, it makes it that much harder because
Yeah.
you have this love and connection with the child that only a parent would know, and just losing that, you feel for these characters, your heart breaks for them. And I thought, my God, this is just an MMO. And it feels so real.
I don't want to get dark, but in my line of work, I've seen my fair share of that. And I have so many freaking triggers, my friends, like so many triggers that will just make me glassy-eyed.
Oh,
for
yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
And that was really a moment where it's like, this is a real life thing that's showing up in this game. But it just goes to show that there are so many emotional ties in some of these stories. Don't freaking spacebar through this. I just have to mention this too right now because I'm kind of freaking out a little bit. T the Khajiit's in our chat.
Hey T.
Hi T.
I thought I have a sticker from her when she visited us at some point, and I think someone stole it. So they're in high demand.
Steal it back.
T stickers are in high.
Their Thieves Guild was level 10. So, not much you can do there. Anyway, wow. Good question. Thanks so much, Sarah. And finally, we got one from, I think I'm saying this right because the voicemail is a little hard to hear, but this one is from Skirty on customizations. Let's take a listen.
Hi, guys. This is Skirty. Giving another call back. Let's think about a couple things, and wanted to pose a question to you guys. Having played ESO for a while, I've seen a lot of additional customization in the options come through, form of outfit station, housing, the unique weapon styles, outfits versus motifs. A plethora of motifs now. I guess I've got two parts. One, it would be really cool if maybe you guys hosted a ESO fashion contest, for lack of a better term, and then did some of the winners on your stream, maybe had a way to post on your forums or in Discord or something, and have people post up their different character ideas. Maybe do something themed. That'd be kind of fun. But the other question really was, if you were asked by Rich Lambert what element of the game you would want to be customizable next, as far as collectible items or ways you can customize something. For example, maybe a mount, or like customize the way a mount may look. On top of it, as far as like the the upgrades that it gets, or maybe the ability to have sort of like a portable tent, like a mini house. Like campfires you have in some other games, things like that, or something else you guys might think of. Aside from pirate ships, of course. You guys think, see what where the game may go next from that element of it. Thanks so much for everything you guys do. It's great to listen to you guys on my way to work. Thanks so much. Bye.
All right. So, wow.
Roger, Roger, copy.
Right?
Yep. Roger Dodger.
Yeah, heck yeah. Thanks, Skirty. Wow. Cash, do you want to take the lead?
Why do you always throw me under the bus?
I don't know. I can take the lead. You want me to take the
I'll
lead?
take it. No,
All
I'll
right.
go.
Yeah, of course. I know you want to. That's why.
So customizable. I kind of mentioned this a little bit earlier that we're going. Yeah, I'd really love customizable ships. Jay, what do you have to say about that?
I put the party boat in. Whether that if you want to go party on it, you can. So
that's funny.
Special ship. So.
We'll get to that later. I'm just priming the pump is what I'm doing. Right now. Yeah, he's like, customizable. It would be really cool to be able to further. I really can't say outfit styles because Fashion Scrolls Online, Mr. Jibbs, knows how quite customizable our outfits are.
Oh, yeah.
That's like the first thing that he does.
Literally.
When he makes a character. He could give a crap about stats or
No, I don't give an F. We're going straight to the outfit
anything
stage.
else.
As long as you
He
look
goes
good.
Yeah, right?
Straight to Fashion Scrolls Online, and he makes himself look very pretty. He paints his nails. It's effing
Jay's
disgusting.
knows what's up. Well, maybe, for those
I
goth
get
nights.
it.
Oh my god!
There you go.
Dear God.
The true end game
That's
is
right.
The
the
true-
fashion.
That's right.
That's correct.
That's the
That's
biggest
correct.
raid boss right there, trying to make that damn outfit look good.
Or when you're
Cameron's next
crafting,
model.
you do Ritz Lambert online. That's what we do.
Oh,
Anyway, mounts. I would really like to see customizable colors and things just beyond stamina, health, and whatever the other one is.
Capacity.
Capacity, speed,
Or-
capacity. Yeah. I would really like to see more, like be able to put different colors and stuff into your mounts and pets. I think that would be really cool. Here's one of the reasons why I love the naturey stuff, and we're yet to get a green Nyx ad. So
wow, that's
there's
oddly
that.
specific.
No, it's totally specific, but I don't want that. There's so many other things that I want to ask for. So don't take that one straight to the developers. Don't do that.
That's it.
I have
That's
other
your
things.
one.
I have other things on my that are higher on my wall of crazy
Yeah.
that we'll talk about later. So pay attention, Jay.
All right. I got my notebook.
I honestly am just kidding. I don't expect that to happen, but if you have a notebook, then make sure you have pencil.
Take some
Okay.
notes, damn it.
Right, take notes. But no, that's it. I mean, that's honestly my answer. It would be more customizable mounts and customizable with colors and such.
So I'm going to get real elaborate.
Oh.
And it's
Okay.
I've talked about this numerous times on the show. But so that time in the future when this happens, when we get a Tinkerer skill line, and somewhere along the lines, when we find the Dwemer's schematics, somewhere in the next 10 years, Divine's willing, this game's, still ticking 10 years from now, and we can customize our own Dwemer's things that we build, yeah, that's what I want. That's what I want.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So like a robotics.
Oh,
shop.
man, that would be... Because, look, I said this at the end of the day. The Dwemer disappeared. Doesn't mean the schematics did. Just saying. That's all I got to say. You don't
I
have to
kinda
respond, Jay.
feel-
Just nod. Just give me that little wink in your eye.
Oh, that's
Feel-
interesting.
Rich doesn't have to see it. Just look at me, all right?
Like once.
Wink once.
Look, and I glance at chat and I see Rich in chat saying, barbecue. He's not even paying attention to what we're saying.
Dang it, Rich.
Rich Lambert.
Oh, my gosh. Well,
New
anyway,
skill line. Barbecuing.
I
right?
kind of think like that whole Dwemer thing, Jibs, like I know that that's your whole shtick and that's totally cool. I'm on board with you 100%. But I kind of think that even Zoss, when it comes to anything Dwemer, I
Oh,
think they
know.
have to contact the mothership on that
I know.
one.
They gotta contact the mothership of AKA who? Who is it?
Todd.
Todd
Howard?
Todd Howard. I love Todd.
Yeah.
Anyway, well, thank you everyone so much for your voicemails, your emails. You can always call us 765-382-6961. Leave us your voicemail. Try to keep it around a minute or less. And you know what? It just might get played here on the podcast. Cash, I'm ready for this lore lesson.
Oh, you are. Oh my God. I was like typing chat. I was fully
Hold on,
engaged.
let me grab my giant candy bowl
Oh my gosh.
for this. This is why, whenever I'm like, I'm going on a diet, my workmate here is like, hey, Jason, I brought in more candy.
So what you're saying is,
Holy crap.
to all our listeners, they need to send you a lot of Halloween candy in the mail just for shits and giggles.
Apparently.
Yeah.
And that's like not even it, right? Like
It's
this
still
guy is-
going.
So we're working toward
Oh.
our interview with Jay, and he's going to be in diabetic ketoacidosis.
It's rough. I can't even stretch without a Kit Kat in my hand. So
Oh, you know what?
that's my life.
Life
It's like,
happens, man.
Yeah.
Life happens. Oh.
Hey, Jay,
Yeah.
watch your nuts. I'm about to summon a spell. I almost cinched you. Almost got you.
Almost
got it.
Oh.
All right, so my friends, it is still the Hollowjack season. We're still rocking the Witches Festival. Why not talk about the first vampire in lore lesson number 79? Now, I will say this lore lesson gets rather dark and talks about some themes that may or may not bother or trigger some folks out there. So just be aware that there are some male/female themes that are gnarly. No cussing. I won't do that, I promise. If I do, you'll get one of these. Anyway, let's talk about the first vampire, my friends. Quote, Mother LeMay was the first of us. Molag Bal made her his unwilling bride, and throughout her brought terror to the night. Through her, he created the vampire kin. She is the blood matron, mother to us all, unquote. That was written by Vorendil. He's an Altmer vampire who guides the player in ESO to the blood matron's crypt. He can be found in Evermore, Ralka, or Riften, depending on your faction. There's the opening, so you can kind of see where I'm headed with this, with these dark themes. Somebody was ravaged, and that somebody was LeMay Balefag. She's also known as LeMay Bal, or the Blood Matron. She was discovered in a comatose state in the wilds of Skyrim by a nomadic tribe native to the area. LeMay was wounded, and the tribe cared for her for a time, treating her wounds and trying to bring her out of a catatonic state. But the nomads had no idea what had transpired before they arrived at the wounded female's side. LeMay Balefag was a Nedic priestess in the service of Arkay. Arkay, as you know, is the lord of the Wheel of Time. LeMay, wandering the Skyrim wilderness, found herself cornered by a very angry Daedric lord. You know that Daedric lord well. His name is Molag Bal, and he stood before her. LeMay was brutally raped by Bal. Before he departed, he dripped a single drop of blood onto LeMay's brow, and he left her to die. Fun fact. The Needs were a race of men who existed throughout Cyrodiil, Hammerfell, and Skyrim, and Morrowind in the Merethic era. The Imperial race can be tracked back to the Nedic people after they bred with the incoming Atmorans. So as these Needs cared for LeMay, the nomadic healers began to notice something very strange about the mysterious female. The wounds that she had taken in her attack were healing much more rapidly than they can explain. They began to become scared and horrified. It soon appeared to the nomads that LeMay had died, so they built a pyre and placed LeMay's body atop it. But LeMay Balefag was not dead. She awoke as the nomads lit the pyre and realized what happened. LeMay became angered and disoriented. She went on the attack, murdering the women and the children in the camp. The men she brutally raped, which kind of don't know how that works.
I don't feel like I can make a joke there, but I don't know how that works.
I know this is super dark, but yeah, fun fact. So men have certain things got to be working. You know what I mean? Like certain things got to, like certain valves got to open and close for shit to happen. So anyway, whatever. She ended up going on the offensive, killing the women and the children and raping the men. I guess you can't really rape the willing, but whatever happened. Anyway, so she got back at the men for doing what Molag Bal had done to her. She was pissed, and like, I totally get it. So after her very brutal and continued offensive against the nomads, LeMay began to regain her senses and realize what she had done. She began to plead desperately to RK. But despite her prayers, RK or any of the divines never answered. So she was mad. She was scorned. Her entire life that she had dedicated in the service of the divines, particularly RK, was for naught. She cursed Molag Bal for what he had done to her. She renounced her loyalty to RK for not answering her pleas in her most desperate hour. LeMay would then launch herself into a world of darkness, much different than what she had been accustomed to in her life before. She began a campaign of evil, turning RK's followers into something otherworldly just to spite him. At the hands of Molag Bal, LeMay Balefag had become the first vampire of Tamriel. LeMay would later create a cult of vampires with the sole purpose of spreading hatred for both RK and Molag Bal. Mother LeMay, as she would become known by her loyalists, whom she referred to as her children, would hold a vampiric rite for new initiates at the cult's headquarters in Cold Harbor. So during this initiation, known as the Rite of the Scion, vampires' minds would be filled with visions of LeMay's jaded and violent past. Symbols of RK and Molag Bal would be profaned and destroyed, while the initiates would be submerged in water and completely drained of their life's blood. Mother LeMay herself would then fill their bodies with her own blood, reviving and enhancing their powers and making them full members of her cult. LeMay Balefag. This is a fun fact. LeMay Balefag, the first vampire, was the original of the Loresi, the Selenu, and the Razath bloodlines of vampirism. These names are derived from the Nedic nomad tribesmen whom she raped. So being the first vampire created by Molag Bal, became known as the Daughter of Cold Harbor, a tradition developed where Molag Bal worshipping cults would offer females to Molag Bal on his day of summoning. Although very few of these women would survive the ritual, the ones who did would emerge as pure-blooded vampires and subsequently called the Daughters of Cold Harbor. Now, this was not considered an act of violence by the cultists, but the females would consider it an honor to not be rejected. During the First Era, a prophecy was written by a snow elf by the name of Arch Curate Verther that foretold, quote, "The blood of Cold Harbor's daughter will blind the eye of the dragon." This is a reference to the tyranny of the sun. This was a prophecy written between 3 separate Elder Scrolls. The prophecy tells of a ritual that requires a daughter of Cold Harbor to be sacrificed and the bow of Ariel to be used to permanently purge the world of its sunlight, which would allow the vampires of Tamriel to move about unhindered. Now, it was told by the Archcurate Virther, who had created this prophecy to spite Ariel, the reason this was done because he followed Ariel devoutly throughout his life, but after being afflicted by vampirism himself, Virther became betrayed by Ariel, and he vowed to sever his link between Mundus and the Aetherius. And the full story of this prophecy can be found in the Dawnguard questline in Elder Scrolls Dawnguard. Go play it, it's really freaking good. So from an unspeakable act of violence by the father of vampires spawned one of the most terrible lines and creatures of the night in all of Tamriel. The mother of vampires fell from grace to become a scorched, scornful entity whose sole purpose became to inflict the unafflicted and to bring her vengeance upon the entire landscape of Nirn. I quote from Mother LeMay during the ritual at her Blood Matron's crypt in Elder Scrolls Online. My beautiful abomination, how you shine in the dark. Now listen, I must warn you. Speak, and I will listen. Relish this new life I have given you. Feed and grow powerful. Find others of our kind. Form families, and bring new children into the fold.
That is by far one of the gnarliest pieces of lore because of how incredibly wrong it originates.
Yeah.
It's
Right.
unsettling. It's uncomfortable.
It's awesome. I love it.
But the
so
result is what brings the vampires, and it's like, you know, you're sitting here, you're like, where do I go with this? You know?
You go to the tattoo shop and get a vampire tattoo. That's where you go.
Yeah.
Because it's amazing.
Oh my goodness! I mean, like, I don't know. Like you know, you pull a lot of Skyrim references out of that, and
Yeah.
you know, if you're a fan of lore, then particularly Elder Scrolls lore. One thing I appreciate about Elder Scrolls lore is that and follow me here because I don't want this to get misunderstood. They explore all the areas from the real world. So you pull in racism. You pull in, we talked about it earlier, a family who lost their daughter. What does that do to a relationship? You pull in, you know, awful things such as rape as one of them. You know, that's awful, awful.
Yeah.
But it's there, and it's things that are addressed, and you see the results of things that's explored in Elder Scrolls. And so for that, I'm glad it's not shied away from. I'm glad it's like the things are addressed. You know what I mean? Does that make?
Well, yeah, it makes total sense. And we've talked about the parallels between Elder Scrolls lore and, I mean, we could write a book on the parallels between Elder Scrolls lore and our modern world and society and the atrocities and things that have happened. I mean, there's racial wars, there's disease, flus, epidemics, crime, terrible freaking people, and terrible acts of violence, which is this one, you know. And I mean, that's something that it hits home for a lot of people, and I think that's why we mentioned that there could be some triggers in this particular lore lesson. But this stuff exists in the game that we play because it's adult themed. And I think in some ways, don't get me wrong, I don't think rape is awesome. It's unbelievably terrible. But the reason that this game gets me so much is because it's fantasy, but there are a lot of parallels to reality in it. And I think that is a lot of the things that grab me. The emotions of all the things that come with pulling that off in a game is what slurps me into this lore.
Jay, I don't know what you can address, and again, you know, this is not at all what we sent you. But is it like
we didn't send anything about
uplifting
rape?
topic? Yeah.
But I mean, like, is there anything, you know, behind the scenes you could say to, like, hey, we address these things, we talk about these things, or you're not afraid to include these things? Like, is that? Like, how's that conversation go?
It's one of those things that lore has existed in Elder Scrolls for a really, really long time. I don't remember when that kind of came into the world, but it's a very sensitive topic,
Right.
and yeah, that it's hard because it does address a lot of serious, very cruel and horrible things that these gods or demigods or Daedric princes
Right.
are doing,
Yeah.
and so there's a fine line to balance, when you're talking about any stuff involving this type of thing. So we respect the lore, we look at it and see how much do we actually want to pull that in, because while it is a very serious and real topic, is it something that we necessarily want to put in front of a player and make them have to deal with such a very emotional and possibly traumatizing thing. So it's something, it's just, there's a very fine balance whenever you're dealing with something like that. So
Yeah.
that's always a tricky one,
Yeah.
because it's a very, very, very serious subject. And,
Absolutely. Yeah.
like I said, we always want to be very respectful whenever we tackle anything like this.
Right.
And so, yeah, it's finding that balance. Is always, because we always say we're in a world of fantasy and elves
Right.
and dragons and stuff, but we're trying to tell human stories.
Yeah.
These are things that people can relate to. But yeah, sometimes there's topics, it's like, okay, do we want to dive into that aspect of it? Because it is a serious thing, and when you're trying to enjoy and play a video game, you can have serious subjects. And, try to, like I said, balance that line. So.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely.
That makes a lot of sense that you said that, because we're in this fantasy world, but we're telling human stories. That, I was like, oh my god, makes total sense. And I think at least in this particular situation, I'm glad that you guys balanced it out. Like, she went back and she got some revenge. And although I still haven't figured out how a man.
Just keep moving.
I'm not even gonna go there. I'm not gonna go there. But she evened the score, which I think is fantastic. I truly do. Yeah, I was like, okay, she got them back.
It's like one of those.
Them dirty hobbits.
It's like one of those stories you read and you're like, wow, that was gnarly. All right, what's next? You turn the page and you're like, wow, what's next? What's the next lore? But
I don't know. I'll
it's
try and
there.
find something darker.
I mean, look, and we'll move on from this, but it's just one of those things where it's just like, look, it's there, it happened, and it's a part of lore. Whether however you feel about it, it's just about how you address it. And I'm glad that the lore was honored. At the same time, the way that it's produced and the way that's portrayed in Elder Scrolls Online, I appreciate. But dang, that was dark and gnarly.
I thought you were gonna say, but dang, don't ever do that again, dumbass. Terrible.
Oh.
This is why every female in Tamriel should know Krav Maga. This is why.
Oh my gosh. All right, my friends. Well, it's that time. We are going to talk to Jay, but before we do, we have a message about Extra Life. Take a listen. Hey guys, Jibs here from the show. Just want to pop in here real quick before we sit down and talk with Jason about Dragonhold. I want to tell you something that's extremely important to Cash and I, and that's Extra Life Week. And that's happening this weekend, November 2nd, starting at 12 p.m. EST, 9 a.m. Pacific, over at twitch.tv/Loreseekers podcast. This is an incredibly important day to us because it means a lot to us to raise money to help Children's Miracle Network hospitals through Extra Life. So please come. We're asking you to come, watch the stream, donate if you can, help us raise money for these kids. It means the world to Cash and I. And maybe you can't donate, but you can watch. We'd appreciate it. And if you can't even be there all day, keep the stream up. We want people to see this. We want as many people to see this as possible. Thank you so much. And dilly dilly, my friends. All right. Well, Jason, it's your time, my friend. So before we get started, I have been told from a certain Michelle that goes first by Coco that there is some kind of story that you could tell us about yours and Jess's love story and how Darian and Naryu came to be. Is there
boy.
anything you could say to that? Again, not in the question sent, so it's fine if you say no comment.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna come home and Jess is gonna. What? No, so I guess I kind of give us some background to that. So Jess and I met years and years ago, and it's funny because you can have research about how he met his wife too. Very similar. We were playing a game called Everquest. For
yeah.
Who used to play the old school MMOs, and I was playing a character at the time who was he was a half-elf paladin. Surprise, surprise. And his name was not Darian, because that name was actually taken. But he was played that way, or role played that way. Like, I had a whole backstory. So basically I was, this holy knight type of guy who really just wanted to flirt with all the ladies. And that was, this was a long time ago. I think I was still in high school.
Look at you go.
Yeah, it's going back. So I was like, yeah, I'm gonna play this awesome guy. He's gonna be this heroic knight, and I'm gonna flirt with the 3D pixel ladies. But that was me back in the day. So and at the time I was playing, and I was looking for a dungeon because there was no looking for group type of thing back then. It was all manual. You basically went and sat in front of a dungeon, and you were like, hey, want to party with me? And I was walking around trying to get a group, and paladins weren't very good at the time. And I was just basically throwing out really cheesy, like, one-liners to everyone while in character.
Well
They were
played.
really, really bad. And now I
Yeah.
understand why, like, no one was inviting me. And all of a sudden, this dark elf rogue, who's sitting in the corner with her group, named Naryu, messages me, and she's like, okay, you need to join her. Like, I can't. I think it was like pity, and she was just like, all right, we need to stop this. This is horrible. Like, please come join us. And turns out that was Jess's character. She played a dark elf rogue.
Right.
And we got to know each other through EverQuest at the time, and we played a bunch of games. We became really close friends, and then we actually lost contact for a little bit. And this is embarrassing. The girl I was dating at the time decided to do fan art, and I had a character name that I used with all my characters. And Jess saw that, and she was like, "Oh, I know that guy. Is this the same guy?" And it was for World of Warcraft, and it was one of the first fan art pieces that they featured on their site. And she was like, "Oh, I know who this is." Because we had kind of fallen out of touch for a couple years, and so she messages me on my guild forum. She's like, "Hey, are you Jason?" And I'm like, "Hey, what's up? How you doing?"
Right.
So one thing led to another. I'm not going to get into the personal stuff, but
Right.
we ended up playing a bunch of WoW together. Ended up talking online. Ended up moving up with her. I lived in South Florida at the time, and she was in Washington State.
Right.
Which is a beautiful drive, by the way, if you ever want to do like a drive cross country.
Good to know.
That's a long way.
Yeah. So that was how we met, but that kind of originated into the characters Darian and Naryu. We took when I made those characters, and these were some of the first characters I ever got to make that kind of stuck around. Darian was always based on my D&D character, right? I was the guy who with horrible stats, but his charisma was maxed out, right? He was like, I couldn't fight, but I'll flirt with the succubus. Like that's gonna happen. It's like they try to punch you in the face. I, grin seductively and give big googly eyes and hope for the best. And that was always the character that I kind of played. And so when we were making Darian, that was I was like, I want kind of something like this. And you know, we fleshed him out a lot more, and there was a lot more to him. But that was always kind of the character I played and role played all my games. So that was how he kind of came about. And then we built his backstory. And then, but yeah, Naryu was very much kind of how Jess role played her character back in the day, and that kind of gave us the basis of like when I was like, all right, I'm gonna make this character and get into the game. I used a lot of the stuff and how she portrayed kind of the sassy assassin and didn't give a crap about anyone else except for herself, except for like if you got close to her and stuff like that. So yeah, so you all have your community manager to thank for the Naryu character.
So
which a lot of people don't know about.
just to be clear, Darian is you, and Naryu is your wife, Jess.
Pretty much.
That's awesome.
Wow.
Yeah, and it's a shame too, because like I've always wanted to. How can we bring these two characters together?
Right.
But in a way, they've built their own followings, and so I feel like I don't want to take that away from the players either. You know, everyone's like,
Right.
Darian's my husbando, and Naryu's my waifu, right? As
Someone said that in chat, actually.
yeah. So so I was like, okay, you know, the players have embraced it, and I love it. Like the fan art we get of the characters, just like one of the highlights of my career was when we did the Blur trailer with Naryu in it. That was just mind blowing.
Oh,
I was like,
yeah.
that's the character.
Yeah.
So that it was awesome. It was so awesome, and like
that was the trailer that brought me back to ESO.
it was super well done.
Oh,
Absolutely.
it was amazing.
100%. That whole expansion, everything about it, the trailer and everything underneath it was amazing. That's awesome. I didn't know that was a thing. I didn't know that's how, you know, everything went for you guys. That's awesome.
Yeah, it was but yeah, I always say when people, where do you get the inspiration? I was like, well, these are actual characters that we had backstories for, and they were different stuff, and we've kind of, you know, we made it. But it's amazing how many people, when they're making characters and stuff to put in the game, they're like, I have a D&D buddy, and he has this awesome character. I wonder if I can put him in the game. And, you know, you're like always like, yeah, all these characters in this quest are all people I play D&D with. But it gives you a lot of inspiration to draw from. Because, personally, you've gone on these fun adventures. And so it's one of those things that translates fairly easily into bringing them into this type of setting.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for sharing. That's really cool, man.
Yeah, I think that's awesome. And yeah, thank you very much for sharing that. I'm sure some parts of that were personal. I really want to give credit to Coco Michelle for saying that, or for bringing that up to our attention, because she said that she had heard that story at a con. I believe it was from Jess. But she brought it up when we put out our community questions to ask you. So to hear from you, I think she got like the second perspective, and I think chat got a pretty good squeeze out of that. It was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So yeah, no, my pleasure.
That's awesome. So, you know, not only are we talking the history, you know, about your relationship and just how everything got started and how, and look, that's cool. Like at the end of the day, that's cool. That's a cool perk as a dev. You know, you can put the things that happen to you in real life into games. I think that's awesome. And so that being said, like, how did you get started in the gaming industry? Did you just wake up one day and like, hey, I want to be a zone lead. I want to lead Elder Scrolls.
So no, I wish. So I never went to college. A lot of people think, you know, you get into game design, you go to game design school or do programming and stuff like that. But I lived in South Florida, and there wasn't a ton of game companies there when I was growing up. So the idea of working in the game industry was like, you know, there's no way it'd be awesome, but whatever. I was doing IT stuff. And then when I actually moved out to Seattle, I was like, you know what? I'm going to go to school. I'm going to study game design. I'm going to do all this cool stuff. And then I got out there and I looked at the prices and I was like, no, I'm not.
Yeah.
This isn't happening.
And rethinking your decision.
Yeah, I was like, no, maybe not. So it wasn't until like we moved around a lot because Jess has been in the industry for a long time. And she got a job down in Texas, and we're like, okay, cool, let's go down to Texas. And when we went down there, I managed to basically get a job in QA for NCSoft.
Uh-huh.
And I always laugh because I went in and I was like, I don't have any testing experience professionally, but I beta tested MMOs for years, and I brought them like a 5-page document of every game that I ever tested.
Right.
And they like, you're hired. And I was like, awesome. But yeah, I started in testing. I was actually one of the lead testers on City of Heroes.
Oh,
guys
look
familiar
at you.
with that?
Wow.
Kind of
Yeah.
a popular game.
Yeah, so yeah, that was kind of where I got my start, but that was just testing. And then when I actually things kind of went south down there, and we moved up north, and I was looking for a new thing. And it was funny because when I moved up here, I actually applied for Bethesda, which is down in Rockville, Maryland, very far from here.
Right.
And they're like, hey, you know, you have MMO experience. We may be doing this online thing up at this studio up north. You should go talk to them. I was like, okay, cool. So I drove 82 miles and came up here and interviewed and got the job as a lead tester. And for a year, I drove 164 miles 5 days a week.
Wow.
Yeah, and it was through DC and Baltimore traffic, so that's about 3.5 hours one way.
Oh my gosh.
But I was committed. I would also never recommend anyone ever do that again. I don't care what job it is.
Not worth.
But I think they felt sorry for me because they were like, okay, this guy, you know, he's done a lot of work. I was the head tester for all like the content stuff. And then I told one of the guys, I was like, yeah, I'd love to get into design. And I think it like went up through Rich and
Right.
a couple other folks. And they're like, yeah, throw something together. I was like, cool, okay. And so I did testing for a year, and then I got brought over into the actual design department, which was awesome. That was like my dream job that I didn't know I ever wanted.
Right.
And I just had kind of worked my way up through testing, and then been doing it for 10 years. And then this past year, they're like, hey, you've been doing this a while. We need the lead. Do you want to come in and kind of like manage a team and kind of take over from the high level and put the stuff together? And I was like,
Okay.
cool. Yeah, let's do this, I think.
Maybe.
And you know, yeah, it was kind of, I was like, all right, let's go. And I was like, all right, I'm back up. All right, I figured out what I'm doing now.
Right.
But yeah, very, very different type of responsibilities, but I still get to do a lot of the creation and design stuff. I'm just not as intricately kind of in each part of it as I was before. But yeah, that's kind of how I got where I am now.
Well, that's awesome. So, like, you know,
Awesome.
so your time there has changed a little bit as far as what you do now. So, like, what does a typical day look like for Jason Barnes at ZeniMax Online Studios? And we ask this for every single guest we have on here. So, what does that day look like for you?
Nowadays, it's a lot of coffee and a lot of meetings.
You need one for the other.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it depends on where we are in the process. It's a lot of kind of just early on when we're figuring out, like Dragonhold's a good example. Like when we're figuring out what are we doing, it's a lot of like sitting in and writing ideas, working with our lead content designer, who doesn't get enough credit. The guy is in control of the entire content department and juggles so many different things. Jeremy Sarah, it just is awesome, and he's kind of my boss before, and then Rich is my boss above that. But
Right.
he works with us, and we kind of pitch our ideas, and we throw everything against the wall, and he comes back and says, nope, that's poo-poo. Let's do this, or I
Sure.
like this, and then we kind of work off of that. But there's a lot of writing design documents, a lot of story pitches, just back and forth and back and forth.
Yeah.
And then once we finally get that through, we can actually bring it out to the team and kind of let them take parts of it and make it their own and everything. And then it just becomes a lot of reviewing, a lot of feedback, and then we're actually designing it. And you're just constantly reading stuff and reviewing stuff and talking to people and having meetings and going through it. And there's so much iteration here because everything we do, we review like 8 times just to make sure that it's to the quality level that we want.
Right.
So that's kind of my day. A lot of reviewing, a lot of writing, and just meetings to go over and make sure the team is all on the same page and that they're delivering the product that we want to and telling the story that we want to. So it's been fun. It's been really fun. It's definitely a new challenge. Like I said, this is from the lead perspective, this is brand new. Usually I would come in, I had my assignment, I would write my design document, I would go in and I'd start just focusing in and working with the writer and just really honing in on what we were going to design. And now you just have to step back and you have to watch everything. So,
Right.
It's a lot to handle, but it's fun. It's really fun.
It's that whole supervision thing where you have a certain span of control now, and you have to kind of stop doing the hands-on stuff and just start letting your people thrive.
Yeah. Yep. And
Yeah.
I still get in there and get my hands dirty and stuff. So there's some stuff in Dragon Guard that I got to do because I was like, yeah, I need to design. I have to get in there and I have to do
Have to
some of
scratch
it.
that itch. Yep.
So yeah, so I get to go in and I get to do a little bit of it. But yeah,
Right.
it's definitely now I'm Papa Bear instead of one of the cubs.
That's
That's
awesome, man.
Moving up.
Yeah.
So Jay, as Dragonhold itself as DLC for Elder Scrolls Online, was that the first actual DLC that you've been lead on, and how have you felt that the experience creating this has been for you?
Yeah, so it was my first kind of job as the lead of this zone. This was my very first one. I was actually helping out with the chapter of Northern Elsewhere when I switched over, and then one of our designers, Tom Murphy, kind of took over for me and finished off the stuff I was working on. He did an amazing job. He did the finale and kind of end of the chapter quest line. But it's been different. Like I touched on it a little bit earlier. Of you're taking such a kind of step back and trying to view everything as a whole instead of just these small parts that you're responsible for, and you always have to keep that in line. We make this joke that early on in development, I think it's in one of the Aldmeri Dominion zones, is we were figuring things out, and there's like 4 areas where you walk up and the town's on fire, and they're like, help me, there's someone, they've captured all my people, then save them.
Just like
Okay,
that.
save them. Exactly like that. and you go and you save them, and they're like, thank you so much. And then you go over to the next area, and it's on fire, and they're like, help me, there's people who are captured. And you're like, all right, I feel like I'm in a time loop here. Let me do that. And then there's like a little break, and you're like, okay, cool, that's fine. And then you go to the next area, and they're like, hey, guess what? And you're like, yeah, there's people captured. All right, I'll go get them. I got it. Don't even worry about it.
Right.
So those are the types of things that we have to watch out for. So we're always looking at, what are the themes? What are the activities? What are the characters doing? Let's make sure we're not repeating things and having stuff right on top of each other. And it's just little things like that you don't even really think about until you see it. And even like the small stuff, like, hey, do we have enough resource nodes in this area? Can you go and get special type of fish in these ponds and stuff? So it's just, there's so much more just on a large macro level of things that you're watching for, and at the same time you're still tweaking the story and telling people, hey, we need to adjust this and this isn't flowing right. So it's a great experience when it all comes together, and I don't think I ever realized when I was just a regular quest designer how much hard work and just people busting their asses to get this done, and then it's just a beautiful thing because it just all comes together at the end. It's just
yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, that actually parlays right into something else that we all want to know, because it does turn into this beautiful thing. And I think a lot of times that when the player's out there and we're navigating all these new quests and whatever new piece of material there is, or even the older stuff, we don't realize the work that goes into it. And when you really take the time to understand that, that's what really brings the beauty out for me.
Yeah.
So to kind of move into the next thing that we want to ask is that what part of Dragonhold, your baby, what part of that are you most proud
of? So 2 parts, I think. The story and the characters, I think, are a big one. I love the character. I'm a story guy, I should say, I'm a character guy when it comes to stories. I always want to make sure that the people you're adventuring with are interesting people, because I think you are going on this long adventure with them. They're dull and kind of, that it's gonna kind of bring it down. You're like, oh, I gotta go hand in quest, and this is kind of be like, okay. So one of the things when we were creating characters, and I was doing kind of the initial idea list for all of them, it was like, what are their quirks? What are the interesting things that they're doing? And I think the designers and the writers were able to take that, and then they just kind of ran with it. Zaji, who's my favorite character in the DLC,
Gosh,
he just like, the team took what I gave like a paragraph on and kind of pitched it as, and they just ran with it and they knocked it out of the ballpark. And so like that, seeing that type of stuff, like, you know, I'm the idea giver in a way. I'm giving people the building blocks, and then they're taking it and they're making it their own. And so that's probably one of the things I'm most proud of.
Right.
And then the other thing would be grappling hooks.
Oh
grappling bow.
yeah, man.
They're fun.
Absolutely.
So I always so the grappling bows were kind of like when we were doing Murkmire and I was doing quests. There's something I did a area called the Deadwater Tribe. They would play that involved fire rocks. You threw them. Basically, it was very almost like Pitfall, like for anyone who's old enough to remember what Pitfall is.
Oh man. Yeah, buddy.
And so we did that, and we're like, this is kind of fun. This is interesting. And I would go into every meeting. I was like, how can we do better? And I'm like, what about grappling hooks? So I'd go into the meeting, and they'd be like, what are we going to do with this quest? I'd be like, what about a grappling hook? And they'd be like, no, we're not doing grappling hooks for this one. And then I'd come into the next one, and I'd be like, can we do grappling hooks? And they're like, Jason, no grappling hooks. I'm like, all right. And then they made me a lead. And then I walked into the meeting, I was like, hey guys, guess what? Grappling hooks.
Batman style.
Oh my god, I love that story.
Oh, that's awesome.
And thus they were born. But yeah, we had a lot of fun with them, like trying to figure. I always remember I went to go show my lead at the time, and I was like, look how cool this is. And I hit the plant. This was back when we were doing the Murkmire thing, and the vine tongue grabbed me. And I started going over, and I was like, this is fine. This is great. And I just kept going and going and going. And I launched about 500 feet in one direction. And I was like, yeah, that's not how it's intended at all. Let me tweak this and bring it back to you.
Funny.
But yeah, it's such a simple thing, but it's fun. It adds kind of this traversal feel that we haven't really had in our game before.
Yeah.
So just like it was like, yeah, I finally got the grappling hook in. Yeah, awesome. That's great. That's my personal little that thing I'm proud of.
That's awesome.
That's awesome. So having the challenge of wrapping up the season of the dragon, you know, this being the first time that Zos has really attempted the year-long story. Which is freaking amazing, by the way. This being the first time, what challenges in designing something like that?
Did I cut out? Hold on. Oh, sorry.
Did we lose him?
Hello?
His cam shook around. I think we got him.
Hello?
It's shaking. It's
Can you guys hear
shaking.
me yet?
Yeah, we got you.
Sorry. Yeah, I apologize.
No problem. No problem.
Bluetooth headset decides to just.
No, you're fine, man.
It's scams. It's always scams.
It's always the freaking scams.
Yeah.
We've been there.
So you were saying, sorry, I missed
no
all
problem,
of that.
No problem. So the year-long quest thing is something that Zos has just attempted over this past year. Now, my personal opinion is that was freaking amazing. It gives you that epic long story quest type of thing that I completely crave in MMOs and RPG. But were there any specific design challenges with doing the year-long quest when it was in development for Dragonhold?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for us is how we're going to actually do it.
Right.
It's not something that we had ever done before, so it was like, how does this fit into the story? Do we make the DLC a continuation, like a direct continuation? Do we make it a separate quest line? How do we fit that in? And we tried a bunch of variations, but at the end of the day, we were kind of like, well, we still want people who play the DLC to feel like they're getting a complete story. We want them to, not feel obligated to have purchased the chapter or come in and they're like, I have no idea what the hell's going on. They're like,
Yeah.
Cats?
man, it's like Chimera's what and and
Right.
and they're like, greetings, Five Claw, welcome back, and you're like, I don't know who you are.
Yeah.
So we looked at a lot of different things. Like, did we want did we want it to be a continuation, which we kind of nixed fairly early, and how we were going to integrate it into it. So that was probably the biggest challenge. We had a couple ideas where we were like, well, you're going to show up there and Abner Tharn's going to have a quest for you right away, and then he's going to kind of vanish and then come back later and kind of show up in different beats. But then we were worried that that was going to actually distract from the story we were trying to tell with the DLC. So that's kind of where we settled on, hey, we're going to do this so that if you do both of the things, you actually unlock a special quest chain afterwards.
Right.
And then that way you get to know all the characters in both the chapter and the DLC, and we can bring them together. We know exactly where you are in the story. You're at the beginning, the middle, and then we can give you the ending properly. And just coming to that conclusion and figuring that out and kind of just figuring how are we going to put all these puzzle pieces in place. That was really the biggest challenge. We knew what we were going to do for the story and kind of how we were going to flesh that out because we've done it so much. But this new piece was like, where do we put this block?
Right.
How do we break it apart? Do we keep it together? And that's, the way we ended up doing it, I'm very happy with, because for anyone who has played through it, and don't worry, we're not going to give any spoilers. Anyone who has played through it, I think it did allow us to give a proper conclusion to the year-long story. So we were really happy with how that just all turned out in general.
It's so funny you say that because it's, and we talked about this last episode, it's just one of those things where I feel like this wrap-up with Dragonhold is shaping up to be, I think Cash feels the same way, and if you don't feel that same way, make sure you let me know. But Cash, but
I will.
Yeah, but it just feels like the story is so well done. Like the wrap up with Dragonhold is perfect because you've got all these intricately laid stories, and then it's just like you've got all these layers, right? And so you'll have this big moment of action. It's like watching a epic movie, unfold before you. It's kind of like Return of the King with Lord of the Rings extended
With
edition,
pirates.
right?
With pirates.
And with pirates.
With pirates. Yeah.
I mean, it's just like, it's perfectly done. And I mean that honestly, because it's just, you have so many layers in this DLC, and it's really evident that they're there, and I really appreciate it. And so, that being said, what piece of non-spoiler lore and Dragonhold is your favorite, and why?
Oh, jeez.
I know it's like picking your favorite child, but
Non-spoiler lore. He's like
non-spoiler lore. Yeah, there's a lot that spoiler territory that I really.
yeah.
I think the Alfiq's temple, the Canarthi temple with all the Alfiqs. I joked around with it early on. We were trying to figure out what to do, and I was like, let's just put a temple with cats everywhere, and they'll be all Alfiq. And everyone was like, are you serious? And I was like, yes, let's do this. And then we did it, and they had a place in the story because the Alfiq are very highly magical. And we were like, how can we integrate it? How can we make sure it's not just like, oh, the ha ha ha, it's a funny joke, which it is. But how can we make sure it's integrated into the story and it actually feels like, hey, these Alfiq are important. So there's a lot, as you play through the story, there's a lot of history and lore, and that temple and those Alfiq become a very important part of the DLC story specifically, and kind of just their past and what they've done and everything like that. And yeah, just I think that's probably my favorite. There's some stuff later on in the main quest that would be spoilery that I really, really love. But I think just from things we've talked about and shown on ESO Live and various articles and stuff, the Alfiq they're hilarious. I'm more of a dog person, but I love the cute little magic cats.
Yeah.
So that
All
was
cats are
definitely
magic.
good. They are and evil, but
Yeah, I feel like that
Um,
was one thing that Elsewhere did exceptionally well. If you did anything, if someone was to nitpick the crap out of Elsewhere, if anything, Elsewhere showcased the different races. I know that's not the right word, but the different types of
First
Khajiit.
stocks.
Thank you, first
Yeah,
stocks
first stocks.
of
Yeah.
Khajiit. I mean, like, it's amazing. It's absolutely
Yeah,
amazing.
You did
we
them
definitely
justice.
wanted to use more of them in Southern Elsewhere. Like we had them in Northern Elsewhere, but we're like, let's really hone in and show a little bit more about these. And that was one of the reasons why we made a lot of the main cast of characters. You have the Centrot with Casca, and you have the Doggy Rot with Zaji.
Right.
Fun little fact: Zaji was originally pitched as an Alfiq.
Really?
So just picture that.
Oh my
That would have been
God.
hilarious.
We went away from that for a lot of reasons.
Oh man.
But I remember, my original pitch was like a cat with an eye patch that I found on the internet somewhere. And I was like, this is Zaji. Isn't he adorable?
And,
He says,
oh my
"Myar."
God, like a fierce Alfiq pirate captain would have been freaking hilarious. Don't get me wrong, I love the direction you took it because Zaji is very, very as a character.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Incredibly unique as a Khajiit, and I think anybody who knows the game or knows the first stock or knows the lore at all about Khajiit can pick out how unique Zaji is.
Oh,
He is.
gosh.
And I don't think this is a spoiler because it's like in the second quest. But the fact that Zaji's mom is an Alfiq is hilarious.
Right.
And it's like,
how does that happen?
Mom, and then she's like, no, Zaji. It's just we went, like I said, we went away from it for a lot of reasons, but that character I adore him, and the voice actor Ben Diskin is also the guy who did the Augur, the skull from the Pacific Line.
Oh my
nice.
God.
He is amazing. He gets so into the characters, and he took what we had with Zaji and just knocked out of the park. So
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's not like the Augur's not very popular either.
Oh my gosh.
Freaking loves the
Yeah,
Augur.
they do. Absolutely. So, Jay, we put this out to our Discord community this time about submitting some questions. And we would select a couple of them. And so we have a couple people here who wrote in amongst there was quite a few actually who responded. And Jiminy Jojo from our community.
Jiminy Cricket.
Right? Says, why did you leave a bit of empty map between Northern and Southern Elsewhere? What is in that area, and are there any plans, this is probably the part you can speak to, any plans, to an extent, to allow players to visit there in the future?
So I will say, that is just from lore. That's the central Tenmar Forest area. There's Torvar and a couple other places. There's actually quite a bit of rich history in that area.
Right.
But one of the things we wanted to focus on when we were building Southern Elsewhere is this is the story we want to tell. What do we need to tell this story? So we kind of mapped out the area and the way we wanted to do everything and what we needed, where we needed to go, while making sure that we were going to maintain that kind of quality bar that we had set for ourselves.
Right.
And so, we were looking at it as a way of what do we absolutely need here? We need this over here. We're going to go up to Black Heights because that's where and that's part of the southern edge of Torval Forest. But I think it was one of those things that you start going north of that, you possibly start diluting the story. You have more to fill out and things like that. And we really wanted to hone in on the story we were telling, the content we were making, and what we needed to kind of do, flesh that out, and make sure that was, thick with lore and content. And there was just a lot to do with that. So when we built it out, we built it very deliberately that way. Just because we wanted the content we wanted to deliver, we wanted to do it to the best of our abilities. And so that's kind of where we mapped it out, made sure that we were going to fill in that spot. As for the future, we never say no, but I think our time with Elsewhere, it's done at the moment, and we're really excited about where we're going next.
Right. Absolutely.
No, he did it again. He hinted again.
Oh,
Guys, it's not very long. I mean, it's the end of 2019. 2020 is coming very quickly. And
Yeah.
guess what also comes with 2020? Announcements.
oh yeah, absolutely. Does it feel like it's off the cuff? Does it feel like this has went very quick for you the whole season of the Dragon, for you personally?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely picked up when I switched over to.
Yeah,
It was
no,
like,
yeah. Oh,
they're
yeah.
like, "Hey guys, we're getting ready to wrap up," and I was like, "What?"
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Let me. Oh shit. So yeah, it was. That definitely went. It felt like it went by really, really fast.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's again. That just it blows my mind how much work we did and how it all came together. And just like in the amount of time that we did it, I just. I'm like, and I say this sincerely. Like I'm super proud of my team, and it's just like. The
That's
work we
awesome.
did on it. It's just, yeah, it's awesome. I'm like, what part's your favorite? You know, I'm like, I
Right.
love everything. You know, like I
Yeah.
love. I used to, and this says something a little bit about me. Like when we would release content, and I'd go on and I lurk in Twitch streams all the time, just to see what people are playing, because it's the best way to see if people like your content.
Right.
So you go out and you watch them, and you're like, okay, that's cool. No, just go over there. Why can't you see that quest marker? No.
Right.
But you do that a lot, and like when I was just a content designer, I would kind of be like, okay, are they playing my content? Are they playing my content? Are they doing my story? And like, okay, I'll watch this a little bit, and I'm gonna see that. But as a lead, you're like, oh, they're in Southern Elsewhere. Okay, I'm gonna sit here and watch. I'm gonna watch everything that they do and every
Right.
little piece of content that they play. So yeah, it's like I said, it's like proud kind of Papa Bear in a way. I'm just very happy with everything that the team delivered, and I want people to get out there and play it, and I'm super excited about the console launch next week because of that.
Oh
Well,
yeah.
there's a lot of people playing it. That's for dang sure. And because you guys nailed this one. Not like you didn't nail the last one. This one has been a lot of fun.
Awesome.
Agreed, 100%. Man, it's so weird that we've been around since Somerset, Cash. Like, I think of when the show launched, and here we are 2 chapters in. Anyway, so Unseen Cat asks this question here: has building a whole season around a zone and related DLCs, as with the Season of the Dragon, been more challenging, with lots of things to juggle, or has it helped the creative process along?
I wouldn't say it was more challenging. It was different. I'll use kind of the Daedric War storyline that we told over several kind of chapters and releases.
Yeah.
With that, we're like, we're going to tell a very specific story. We're going to have, certain characters, but we're going to weave this little thread throughout each one of them to make sure that they connect, and try to make it so that if you play them in any order, they still make sense.
Right.
But it made us do things, and this is going into spoiler territory, sorry, where a good example is we started with Dark Brotherhood, actually, with a large plot line if played
Really?
the Sweet Roll Killer quest,
Yeah.
which was the quest that involved Naryu and Razumdar coming together. And we started hinting that there was this dark presence. It was the daughter of Naryu was going to come along and do something, and she's like, daughter? I hate kids. Why? I'm not ever having a kid. What is this?
Yeah.
She's like, it's just some stupid prophecy. And we kind of started there with this kind of background thread that we were playing through, and it still kind of made sense no matter where you played it. And then when you went into Morrowind, the Balmora quest line, which I was involved with, you find out, the daughter is actually her kind of like associate or assistant, because Naryu is known as the Mother of Blades. And she goes off the rails. And then after that, she goes to Somerset and causes all types of chaos.
Right.
Talking about the character Vea, for anyone who's familiar with. But what we had to do from a design standpoint was, if you play the content in the order, it is Vea when you get to Somerset. If you have not done Morrowind and you go there, it's actually a character named Tundlewin, which is a totally different character, but all of her lines still make sense. So we had to actually build it kind of like in two different ways, and that was kind of one of the unique challenges that we had when we're telling like a story over multiple chapters.
Right.
So we had to kind of juggle that when we were doing those types of things. And with the Season of the Dragon, it allowed us to focus a lot. We knew we were going to tell a beginning, middle, and an end. And, you know, the middle breaks up a little bit because you play the first part or the second part in any order. But we knew this is our clear kind of storyline. These are our beats we're hitting. And we may have thrown a couple nuggets here and there, hinting at other stuff. But
Right.
it was very focused, and we knew exactly what it for the story. So I think it allowed us to just focus more on the lore of Elsewhere, the dragons, you know, the Khajiit, and just really hone in on that.
Right.
Whereas like before, we had to hop back and forth, right? It'd be like, oh, you're doing Somerset, and now you're in the swamps with Merc. And that's like, whoa, that's a big shift all of a sudden. You know, we just did a total 180. But now we're researching, you know, Argonian lore, which is strange as hell. I love it.
It is.
Yeah.
But
Right.
Yep.
but you know, you had to spin really fast and like, okay, I was just doing this thing about Altmer, and now I'm, you know, Argonians licking things.
Right.
All right.
Piss milk.
So yeah, so it was, you know, it had its own challenges, kind of in between things. But with this, yeah, I think it allowed us to kind of hone in, focus on the story, and hopefully for, like I said, everyone who's played all the way and done the chapter as well, it's a fitting conclusion. You actually feel like you've wrapped up something and it's over, ready for next week. Sure. So
Right.
yeah, that was kind of like I said. So not easier or harder, but just definitely different. And it was exciting though, because it was something that we've never done before.
That's awesome.
I think it was something that a lot of people were able to look forward to, as you know, as you come into new content being created where there's a different focus here. You know, there's a dungeon release here, and then there's a chapter here, and it's all different things. Although every single one of them were awesome. When you take it all and you put it into a year-long story, and I've talked about it on our show before, it really does make you feel like you were on that epic quest. You know, like when you flip on Lord of the Rings and Frodo is on this epic quest, the entire series. That's kind it's kind of what you feel like. What's in its pocket?
Tomatoes.
How I
Or
feel
potatoes. Yeah.
with the whole series. You kind of feel like, you know, you're going through all of these highs and lows of this epic quest. And I think Dragonhold, even though I haven't finished it yet, has brought that for me in this year-long thing. So it makes it just that much more epic. And to hear your perspective on, you know, the challenges of it and kind of how you feel about it and how proud you are of your team, I think is really cool to hear from a player's perspective, and that's why you're here. So it's pretty
Thank
cool.
you. Yeah, I am excited to see or hear your thoughts, I should say, finish it up.
Well, I think if anything, we noted, you know, if anything was made evident this year, it's that it worked. The whole Season of the Dragon, it worked.
The year-long story works for sure. There's no doubt.
Absolutely. And you know what? No one else is doing that I know of in the MMO space. I mean, has that ever been done? Cash, do you know? Can you recall? Let's pull back the years. Jay, let's go back to Everquest. Has this ever been done?
I don't think it has.
Yeah, I mean, Everquest would release like an expansion a year, so
Right.
I guess that team put out an amazing amount of content at an epic pace. Yeah, I can't really think of anything off the top of my head where it was a very kind of thematic story based around one theme for the year.
Yeah.
No, World of Warcraft, I think they do like one every 2 years.
Right.
A new expansion every 2 years. What's the other one that's popular right now? Black Desert Online doesn't even know, honestly, what the story is, so that's an issue. There's that.
But yeah, like I don't think this has ever been done. You know, I don't think to this degree, and I think the way that it was handled, you know, I said it earlier, But it's all these little things that just add up to so many layers of this whole season of the Dragon, from the very beginning to when those, and I've got one sitting up here, the notes that were sent out to particular content creators, or letters from Abner Tharn, all the way to where we are now. It's just been absolutely amazing, and it works. That's the cool thing, is that it works, and so I look forward to seeing what happens in the future, 100%. But well done, man. Really.
Thank you.
Well done.
Yeah.
We're very excited for the future. So
Absolutely.
all I could say.
Yeah. Well, you know what? You're not going to get away from an interview with the Loreseekers unscathed, because we do this with every interviewee, and that is our rapid fire questions.
All right, let's do
Speaking
it.
of your future, even Ritz Lambert answered these questions, but we've kind of tailored them for you.
Uh-oh.
I really want to know who you are.
Okay. All right.
Here's the rules, my friend. Here's the rules.
Okay.
I'm going to ask you a series of questions. They are rapid fire questions. You have no more than 7 seconds to answer. Why did I pick 7?
Yeah, is that new?
Don't effing know.
All right.
It's a good number. It's a good number.
All right.
It only took 7 seconds and then answer, and then Jason.
Yeah, so short answers. All right. 1 to 10 words, I guess.
Okay.
Work. Are you ready?
All right. Let's do it.
Here we go. Favorite adult beverage?
Spiced rum.
Ooh, yeah.
Nice pick, Pirates.
Gosh, I knew I liked you.
The most fun city you've been able to visit on the job?
I mean, I got to go to Seattle. That's about all I've gotten to travels, but hopefully many more.
Yeah, Rich.
Did you hear that, Rich Lambert?
Yeah,
all
that's
right,
good.
last game you've played other than ESO?
Playing through Bloodborne right now.
Oh.
Well played.
Yeah.
Sir. So
all right.
Halloween.
Yeah.
So hollow, Jack. All right, this one's very important. This is going to determine our friendship.
Okay.
Star Trek or Star Wars?
Star Wars.
That
Oh,
a
fucking love
boy.
Sorry.
Oh yes.
Star Wars is literally fantasy in space.
You officially have your name engraved in a seat at this table. Anytime.
Yeah. Sorry. I can't get into it. I enjoy the originals. Next Generation, they're okay, but at the end of the day, lightsabers.
I love this man.
I know we have a lot of people in our community that are Star Trek fans, so I really can't say what I truly
Oh.
All right. Curled Up by a Fire, a good book or a good movie?
Gosh. Anything Studio Ghibli. And I love anime. So I like Princess Mononoke, things like that. I just anything Miyazaki is very warm, and except for Grave of the Fireflies. That's, Yeah, don't even go there. But yeah. So like I've been watching a lot of My Neighbor Totoro, if anyone's familiar with that, because my daughter absolutely loves it. It's just there's no plot to it whatsoever.
Right.
It's just it's just a cute movie, but it's very like, I'm just gonna turn on something warm and fuzzy.
There you go.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah.
So series then. You didn't go book, you didn't go movie, you went series.
Well, there's a bunch of movies. I would say if I book, Lord of the Rings is always a good one.
Oh my god, I knew we were friends.
I knew we were besties before we met.
Yep.
Yeah, I've read that so many times. It's been a while since I've actually read it, but yeah, it's always a good go-to.
I like it. Okay. We're going to move on to latest binge watch on Netflix.
Just finished watching a German series called Dark, which is amazing. I highly recommend it. It's a sci-fi time travel series. Yeah, it's you can watch it subtitles or dubbed. We did dubbed, but it breaks your brain. Like you almost have to keep an Excel spreadsheet of like timelines and stuff. But they do it in a way that it's clear. Like it's not confusing just to be confusing. Highly recommend it. And also looking forward to his Dark Materials or the Golden Compass. I forget which HBO is calling it, which I believe comes out next week, and The Mandalorian.
Oh, dude, right?
The fact that you said that.
Oh my gosh.
Become best friends.
Yup.
Yeah.
You want to go do karate in the garage?
Yup. Sorry, Chips.
Oh man, it's so good.
Oh boy.
Oh. Jay,
Okay.
I just want to be clear. I feel like our friendship level has just escalated knowing that you're a Star Wars fan over Star Trek. So well done, my friend. Well done.
He's
Hit
my new
champion
friend. Not yours. Oh.
Be everyone's friend.
Okay.
Everyone
Moving
needs
on.
a friend,
Here,
at least one.
best faction in ESO.
Oh.
Daggerfall.
Say it again.
Daggerfall.
Oh, for sake.
Well, there goes the friendship.
Whatever.
Yeah. So I worked on Daggerfall more than I did any other
Oh.
faction. So I have a personal connection to it.
Okay.
So
You get a
there's-
pass.
yeah, there's love there.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah. So.
Everybody in chat's like, wrong answer.
Yeah. Listen. Daggerfall gets you Darian, Lady Lauren and Stibbins, Gabrielle, Jakarn. There's Brandis and his Raven Watch. Like, there's a lot of good characters in the Daggerfall Covenant.
You know, you really can't argue with that. I mean, like, there's,
Yeah.
you know, that's solid.
And Embrick's not that bad of a
Really,
guy
Jibs?
either. Not that bad of a guy.
Really, Jibs?
Hey, you chose Aldmeri Dominion for our guild. I was not a part of that decision.
Why don't you up? How about that?
Oh.
Seriously, that's like talking about politics in the modern world.
Oh, isn't that funny?
Yeah.
Oh,
Our
man.
chat just blew up.
Lighting a match. Yeah.
Light a match. All right,
Yeah.
next one. Favorite video game of all time?
Oh.
Baldur's Gate 2.
Oh, we
Buddy,
are friends.
besties.
Dude,
Yeah.
are you
it's-
excited about the new one?
I'm super stoked about it. Like,
Yes.
Lorian, I think that's how they pronounce their name.
Larian Studios, yeah.
That team did an awesome job with the Divinity series, and so the
Yes,
fact
they
that they're getting that, yeah, like any role-playing game where I can like build a relationship with characters,
Yeah.
and become friends and go on like character quests and romance and stuff like that. That's my jam. Like I'm all about that. So,
What,
yeah.
What'd you think of that trailer?
It was gross, but it was amazing. I was like,
Yeah.
I guess this is Baldur's Gate. Yeah. Okay, I'm down with this. So,
Yeah.
they have a formula that works really well. So I'm super stoked for it. Like I still need to play Divinity 2. I played a little bit of it, but
Right.
yeah. Like I'm glad they're bringing it back. I think that team is going to do an awesome job.
Absolutely.
With it, so yeah, Baldur's
Yeah.
Gate 2 is those games that I like. I can go back and I play it every couple of years, and you're always finding new stuff. It's such a huge game.
So how about the new like compilation? Have you seen that?
Sorry, you cut out there for me for a second. A compilation of what?
Of all of the Baldur's Gates. They're
Is
all
that-
coming out on console.
Oh yeah. So
That's a thing?
Yeah. Yeah, buddy.
yeah, aren't they coming to the Switch? Or I forget what.
Isn't everything coming to the Switch?
To the Switch? Yeah. So I played the enhanced editions, which I think that might be what they're releasing. I don't know if it's the enhanced versions or not. And they were good. I like sitting at my computer. Like I like playing certain games, action adventure games like Bloodborne and stuff like that. I like sitting on my couch and playing on the big TV. But like role playing games where I'm getting really into and stuff like that, or person shooters, I'm PC all the way.
Right.
But I'm also one of the people that can only play like 2 games at a time, and
Yeah.
I will never like if I pick up a game and I put 4 hours into it, I'm gonna play it to completion whether I like it or not.
Right.
So
Yeah.
right now, Bloodborne is like punching me in the head over and over because that's the type of game that it is.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
Oh,
I
yeah.
want to play something low stress. Like I just played the Fire Emblem game, which I know T has a lot to say about Fire Emblem in chat. I'm sure she will.
Oh yeah.
But that's an awesome game, but there's so much to it. So I was like, I'm gonna take a little break and I'll play something light. So I loaded up Bloodborne, and that was a horrible mistake. I still don't know if I like it or not.
That was
I'm
a
like,
horrible
I'm like 30 hours into it. I'm like, do I like the game? I don't
I mean,
know.
like you're 30 hours in at this point. You're just like kind of all in, aren't you?
Yeah, that's kind of how I feel. Like I'm in too deep, right?
Yeah.
They're
Like you can't look back. Yeah.
I can't. Like I'm getting close to the end, and I've gone through so much pain and suffering. I feel like I'm obligated to finish up this.
Right? You have a
I would
responsibility now,
imagine.
Jay.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
I have done this. I have passed these thresholds. I've beat these like horrific bosses that have taken me like 3 days to complete. And I
Yeah.
don't get a lot of time with a little 4-year-old girl running around the house, constantly playing
Yeah.
Paw Patrol. With
Paw
her.
Patrol
So-
on a roll, man. I'm right there with
Yeah.
you, bro. Parent life.
Yeah. So, when I do, I'm like, okay, I'm going to get my time. And then I die to the same fight for 3 hours straight. And I'm like, time for bed. And then I'll wake up and I'm like, I have a new strategy for this. So
That sounds like Dark
that's been,
Souls.
I've slept on
Yes,
it. I know
yeah.
what to do now.
Yeah.
yeah,
So
yeah.
I will have you both know this, and this doesn't need to go up for like any massive discussion over how much I
Doesn't leave
suck
the
at
cave.
games, but I literally played for an entire extra life. This is 24 hours. I played Dark Souls
Oh my
for the entire 24 hours.
Did you
And
get
I
past the first boss?
literally got my kicked in for 24 freaking hours.
You
It was gnarly.
did you make it? Yeah. Did you make it past the first boss?
That's kind of a dick thing for you to say.
Well, I
It is Dark Souls. It is Dark
It-
Souls.
it is
mean,
Dark.
just to be clear,
Yeah, I made it well past that. Progressed very well into the game, but
Yeah.
I got nowhere near finishing it.
Oh, all right.
So,
They're tough. They're very tough. I get the appeal though, because it does, when you do finally down the boss, you're like, yes, that was the greatest thing ever. And
Yeah.
then you walk
Oh, yeah.
down and you get smacked in the face again. You're like, oh, this sucks again.
yeah, I equate Dark Souls to Vet Maelstrom, like a lot,
Oh,
because
Yeah.
Vet Maelstrom freaking sucks. But now I'm to the point to where I actually enjoy going into Vet Maelstrom. But Dark Souls is kind of the same way. I mean, you can bash your head up against the wall before you can get through stuff on that. But don't get me wrong, it is incredible. That game series is very, very well done.
Yeah, they do a good job. And to chat, for those wondering, I played the Blue Lions path in Fire Emblem, and I married Marianne. So for anyone wondering, that was. So
oh,
T actually called that out. Good job, T.
Okay, next one is completely unrelated to video game.
Okay.
What's your favorite hot sauce?
Oh, favorite hot sauce. So, can we do like? So I use Frank's Red Hot
okay.
and a lot.
Right.
But I actually make my own buffalo sauce. proud of.
Oh.
And Frank's Extra Hot is the base of it.
Do you
There's
like
some-
bottle this? Is there any way I can?
You know, I tried. I just don't know how to bottle it because I use a lot of in it too, right? Like a good buffalo sauce
Okay.
to
Yeah.
have
Yeah.
like a really creamy base.
Yeah.
And I don't know how to bottle things properly, so I did it one time. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna, bottle this up and give it to my friend. And I pulled it out of the fridge, and there's like chunks
Oh yeah.
of, and I was like, that's not. Maybe if you melt it.
What
and I was like, all
happened?
right, no,
Yeah.
yeah. I was
But
like,
did
we're
you
not
still
gonna.
give it to him?
No, I think I melted it down and just ate it myself. It wasn't as good, but
Oh yeah, you cannot have a good hot buffalo wing sauce without butter.
yeah, no, you have to
Just-
load
it
it up.
doesn't work.
So yeah, so I think Frank's Red Hot Extra Hot, but I have to pull back. The family doesn't do the extra hot thing, even though I have trained Jess to eat more spicy stuff, and I'm working on getting my 4-year-old up to that level. So
That'll
I'm
work.
like, here's a jalapeno.
She's currently
Yeah,
at level 6 on the hot sauce skill line. We're working her up to 10.
She's doing good. She had pretzel today, and she was like, "Ooh, these are hot, but I like them." And I was like, "Yes, you are my child."
Atta girl.
Oh, that's funny.
All right, we're It's about to get serious right now.
Oh, we're getting serious.
Alright.
Okay.
Yeah, we're
All
getting
right.
close to the end, so we're gonna have to get serious. I noticed you just put your drink down. Do you need to quench up? Or...
Nope, I'm good.
Okay.
I'm ready. Yeah.
Here we go. All right. Will you put ships and open sea content in ESO?
You can't ask him that.
Yeah, I can.
My headphones are going out. Oh,
Alright.
what? I can't hear you.
Okay. So to follow up on that answer to that is, will you bring it up at the next meeting?
Will you bring what? You
Say
cut
that.
out.
Will you bring it up at the next meeting?
Well, Rich is in here, right? Like he can jot that down.
Hey,
He's the man of.
Hey, Rich.
What are
That
many
is
answers.
such a punt. I love the Hey, Rich Lambert. Answer up.
Oh, that's funny.
All right, last question here. Final question.
All right.
Where the F did the Dwemer go?
Thank you. All right, I need you to pretend like you're Todd Howard. Where did?
I can't channel those powers.
Are you punching?
Yeah.
So you
Like,
so here
my cam would explode in a flash of light, and then everything would melt, and your answer would be somewhere in there.
Well, wait a minute. Don't you have God Howard on speed dial?
Oh.
I can't say I know him on a close personal basis. I've run into him at holiday parties. Very nice guy. I've met him when he's come to the studio and talked to him. Yes, but yeah.
Oh, that's so funny.
Wait,
Want to talk about spicy food?
You got to talk?
Yeah, he was actually in line the last holiday party that we kind of had like a joint party together with the folks down there. I sat and like got drinks with him while we were waiting in line for I forget what, but
That's
yeah, we were
awesome.
both just drinking, talking. Yeah, very nice guy.
That's
Very nice
fun.
guy.
That's
Was
good
it like
time.
talking to Stendar? I wonder.
Oh my god.
Hey,
I
Rich
had a
Lambert.
couple drinks, so I can't remember much of it, but
I'm tasking Ritz Lambert with contacting God Howard about.
Oh, my friend. Well, Jay, I'll be honest with you. I don't want this show to end because I have waited so freaking long to
Right?
finally have you here. And so, seriously, thank you for all the fun things you said and the cool things you said about Loreseekers, but just being here. It's been so much fun, man.
No, thank you so much for having me, and just I've been wanting to come on here. Like I said, you guys do an awesome job, but I'm also just a fan of the show itself, and so being able to come on here is like super exciting for me. It's something that I was like, man, I'd love to get on that show one day. I just have to get enough power to do so.
Wow.
As far as I'm concerned, you always have a seat at this table. You just,
Yeah.
in the words of Doc Holliday, say win. That's all I gotta say, man.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys.
One of these days
much.
in person,
Yes.
we're buying you drinks.
Yes. Yes.
I would love that. That
Yeah.
would be awesome.
That would
So
be
maybe you'll have an opportunity in the future.
I
that
hope so.
would be amazing. Absolutely amazing. Well, wow. I really don't want this to end. Thank you, everyone, so much for listening. This was the Loreseekers podcast, and we hope that you had a kick-ass time here at the show. And if you did, we want to hear from you. No matter what you're listening or how you're listening to this show, leave us a review. For every 5-star review that we get on iTunes, we give you a shout-out on this show. Now, you can always call us, 765-382-6961. You can also email us, which so many of you do every week and consistently since we started LoreSeekersPodcast@gmail.com. Now, if you're looking to join a community of fellow Elder Scrolls fans from across the globe, we are global. We have seekers everywhere. It's a stupid amount of people. LoreSeekersPodcast.com/guild. Download Discord, and you can join our Discord server by typing /apply. You can find this podcast wherever podcasts are free. We don't charge for any of our content. Everything 100% free. You can see even more content at LoreSeekersPodcast.com or YouTube.com/LoreSeekers. Cash.
You can find Jibs on Twitter at JibsIR. Cash on Twitter at LoreSeekerCash, and the Cash is with a K. You can find our brand new third host of the show, Jay Barnes, at Beautiful
Don't you
Jay
toy
on
with
Twitter.
me. Don't you toy with me. I said this months ago. I'd love to have barbecues with this guy. I guess this guy's friggin' family.
Everybody loves meat.
Everybody
Most importantly, you can follow our show on Twitter at Loreseekers Cast. You can find us on Instagram at Loreseekers, and right here at our home on Twitch, twitch.tv/Loreseekers podcast.
Friends, we thank you so much for listening. We hope you had a great time. Wow, what an episode. Everyone, have a great weekend. Be safe, be awesome to one another, and buy that person that cup of coffee behind you in the drive-thru. We love you. We'll see you next week. Dilly dilly.